Douluo, after listening to the advice, I became a god. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176. He is a team by himself. Okay, be quiet. Can't you conserve your energy like the Shi brothers? The blue-clothed young man who was sitting motionless on the sofa finally spoke. The Shi brothers he was talking about were sitting on the ground under the wall, meditating cross-legged. Both of them were big men with straight noses and square mouths. Just sitting there gave people a heavy and steady feeling. The handsome young man smiled and said, "Boss, do we still need to conserve our energy? With our silver fighting spirit level before level 40, I dare say that there will be no opponents in this pseudo-great fighting spirit arena. Not to mention here, even in the top-notch Imperial City Tandy Great Fighting Spirit Arena, there is no one who can fight against us," the blue-clothed young man said calmly. "Even so, you can't develop a bad habit of carelessness. There are many strong people in the Soul Master world, and no one can be sure whether there will be stronger people in front of us. Ling-a-ling, sit on the sofa for a while. Standing all the time will also consume physical strength." His last sentence was said to another woman in the room, who was standing in the darkest corner of the whole room. Not only was she dressed in black, but even her face was covered with a layer of black veil. She had a slim figure and long blue hair that fell down her back like a waterfall. Her eyes, which were the same color as her hair, did not reveal any emotion. From her, one could only feel loneliness and desolation. "No need, I'm fine here." Ling-a-ling's voice was very pleasant, but extremely hollow. It gave people an unreal feeling. The 7 people in this room were exactly the members of the royal fighting team that Feng and the others had seen in the information. The one sitting on the sofa were the Captain Yutan and the Deputy Captain Zhuge Yan. The handsome young man was the Windbell Bird Soul Master Feng. The black-clothed man who was bickering with him was the Ghost Leopard Soul Master Oslo. The 2 brothers sitting on the ground meditating were naturally 2 Black Tortoise Soul Masters, and standing in the dark corner was the only auxiliary Soul Master of the royal fighting team, Nine-Hearted Begonia Ling-a-ling. In the Soto Grand Fighting Soul Arena, in Room 3 of the high-level VIP area, the members of the royal fighting team were waiting for the arrival of the group battle. At this moment, the door of the room opened. A man walked in from outside. The appearance of this man made the various members of the royal fighting team in the room do the same action, including the Captain Yutan sitting on the sofa. Even the Shi brothers who were meditating opened their eyes at the same time. The 7 people stood up and saluted the newcomer respectfully. "Teacher." A middle-aged man walked in from outside. He looked about 30 years old. He had an ordinary appearance, simple and plain clothes, and only his eyes were particularly bright. He was not as easy to attract attention as the members of the royal fighting team. He felt like an ordinary person. However, he could be respected by all the royal fighting team members. How could he be ordinary? The middle-aged man's face looked a little strange. Even the captain of the royal fighting team, Yutan, had never seen such a look. He quietly stepped forward a few steps and whispered, "Teacher Qin, what's wrong with you?" Teacher Qin's eyes flashed, and a deep light flashed in his bright black eyes. "This time, I'm afraid you will meet your opponent." Qin Ming simply explained the arrangements for the Great Fighting Soul Arena. After hearing this, the people of the royal fighting team looked strange. Yutan even said directly, "We are 7-1? ? Is this really not a joke?" Obviously, it was not only Yutan who was confused, but the others had the same idea in their minds. After all, this is too unruly. Qin Ming also nodded, with some helplessness in his eyes. But the person on the opposite side said that he is a team by himself, and you should not be careless. He is a level 50 Soul King, and at present, only he dares to accept our challenge. So whether to go or not depends on you. This is what the Soto Great Fighting Soul Arena said. After the 7 people of the royal fighting team looked at each other, they were obviously shocked by Feng's arrogance. At this time, they also became interested. Finally, Yutan said directly to Qin Ming, "In this case, let's meet this Soul King and see what he is capable of." the main fighting soul arena in the center of the Soto Great Fighting Soul Arena. This place is not as big as the civilians who can only watch the game in the sub-area imagine. On the contrary, if they come here, they will definitely think that this is another sub-area. The area of the entire central main fighting spirit arena is only slightly larger than that of other sub-arenas. The most peculiar thing is that the central main fighting spirit arena is extremely quiet, because there are no open-air stands around, but it is completely composed of closed boxes, behind the crystal glass that can only see the scene from one side. There are VIP audiences with deep backgrounds. None of these people are willing to reveal their identities here easily, and they will not cheer and shout like ordinary civilian audiences. What they want is their own pride and superiority. What's more, the stakes here are far greater than all the sub-areas combined. In order to avoid conflicts between nobles because of gambling, it is even more important to hide your identity. At least no one will know who won their money. Even if you want to retaliate, there is no way. Although the crystal glass window cannot see the situation inside from the outside, it shines under the dazzling golden soul guide light of the central main fighting spirit arena. The fighting arena here is also extremely huge, because there are no outdoor spectators. The fighting arena has a diameter of more than 70 meters, not to mention the fighting spirits of a group of less than 10 people. Even if there are 100 people on each side, it is more than enough. In the central main fighting arena, there are a total of 12 high-class VIP rooms and 320 ordinary VIP rooms. These rooms are almost never empty. The high-class VIP rooms have their own owners, and the ordinary VIP rooms are also booked out at the beginning of each year. Suddenly, the brightness of the golden light in the central main fighting arena, which was already very bright, increased again, and all the light no longer scatters in all directions but concentrates on the fighting arena, like a huge spotlight that drops a golden light column from the sky. It just covers the entire fighting arena. Just from such a light-type soul guide, you can see how rich the fighting arena is. In the middle of the fighting arena, a circle with a diameter of 2 meters suddenly bulged from the ground. As it slowly rose, you can see that there is a thick golden pillar supporting the rising circle. And on that golden pillar, a girl was leaning on it. The girl looked only about 18 or 19 years old, wearing a dignified and beautiful white long dress and brown wavy long hair. Her plump breasts and her breathtakingly slender waist all reflected her amazing beauty. She held a cone-shaped amplifying soul guide in her hand, with a professional smile on her pretty face. Chapter 177 Walking Alone. It's an honor to see you all again. The girl in the white dress walked out after the round platform rose to its place, spun around in place, and waved to the surrounding stands. The round platform that sent her to the stage quietly descended and soon returned to its normal position, leaving no trace. It is Daotu's honor to host the group fighting soul competition in the main fighting soul field for all the distinguished guests again. I hope that all the distinguished guests can enjoy it tonight. Today will be a highlight. We have only arranged this fighting soul tonight, and it is also an unprecedented fighting soul. I believe that you will be absolutely surprised after seeing it. And for the players of the two teams, if you want to give them a title, I think the word genius will be very suitable. Daotu will explain the whole process for all the distinguished guests. Now, I will introduce the situation of the two teams to the distinguished guests. Huangdu Team, Captain, Yutan, Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex Soul Master. Vice Captain, Juguyan Shrek Team, Captain, Commander, Blue Silver Grass Soul Master. The white dress girl Daotu, who is the host, introduced the situation of the two teams very skillfully. The purpose is very simple, that is, to bring the sense of expectation to every distinguished audience present. But everyone heard something wrong at this moment. Why did the Shrek team only read one person and didn't read any more? Is there any reason for this? After thinking of this, there was a heated discussion on the viewing platform. After seeing this situation, Daotu did not panic at all, but shouted enthusiastically, "This competition is between the Shrek team and the Seven Emperors fighting team. The leader's soul power level has reached the Soul King, so don't think that our great soul fighting arena is deliberately making things difficult for the Shrek team." Daotu's sweet voice, unique temperament, and humorous explanation instantly calmed the crowd below. "Okay, Douluo won't say anything extra. Now, please invite the players from both sides to play. Douluo is also a soul master. I really want to see how these soul masters of the same level as Douluo will perform against a soul king. As she spoke, white light suddenly gushed out from the host Douluo. Then, a wisp of white suddenly appeared in her long brown wavy hair, and a pair of white wings quietly stretched out from behind. 3 yellow spirit rings appeared on her body at the same time. The third spirit ring shone, and the wings flapped lightly. She actually took her loudspeaker spirit guide and flew into the air. Just as Douluo said, she was also a spirit master of the spirit master level, although her third spirit ring was not the best millennium level. But the ability given to her by this spirit ring was obviously flying, which was extremely important for a spirit master with a flying spirit. Douluo's spirit was a lovely and gentle animal that symbolized peace, white dove. On both sides of the fighting spirit arena, 2 doors opened silently at the same time, and the players from both sides entered at the same time. They walked towards the center of the fighting spirit arena. On the left side, it was the royal fighting team that came. The blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex spirit master Yutan who walked at the front of the team, and Zhuge Yan habitually snuggled beside him. Following the 2 were the Shi brothers. Then came the Black Panther Oslo and the Wind Chime bird Feng, and at the end was the mysterious 9-heart begonia spirit master Yi Lingaling. Compared with the different costumes of the royal fighting team, Feng had no teammates at all, and naturally there was no such thing as a team uniform. However, the black tights and the white half-face mask made Feng look mysterious. These clothes were bought by Ning Rong for Feng. They were only put on when fighting. Clothes can cover the body, and masks can cover the appearance, but the eyes can never be covered. As soon as the players of both teams came out, Feng's eyes collided fiercely with the captain of the royal fighting team, Yutan. In the air, the eyes of the 2 people froze for a moment, and the whole fighting arena seemed to be filled with the roar of dragons and tigers. Yutan was awed in his heart, and Feng looked at him with his eyes, and he immediately felt a strong pressure coming at him. He immediately understood that this blue-silver grass Soul King was not so easy to deal with. You can't underestimate the opponent's martial spirit just because it is a garbage like blue-silver grass. Facing each other coldly, dazzling light burst out from both sides' eyes at the same time. The fighting spirit has not started yet, but the momentum of both sides has already collided with each other. Attention, soul masters from both sides who are participating in the group fighting spirit. You have 1 minute to summon your martial spirit from now on. When I announce the start, you can attack until one side admits defeat, falls down or falls off the fighting spirit stage. Douluo, floating in the air, flapped her pair of snow-white dove wings and spoke to the players of both sides in her soft and moving voice. The soft voice was a kind of enjoyment to the VIP audience watching the big fighting spirit arena, but to the members of the royal fighting team, it meant that the battle was about to begin. The moment the royal fighting team appeared at the entrance of the passage, they also saw Feng coming out from the other side. Seeing that he was walking alone, Yutan smiled. He wanted to see how arrogant the person who said that one person was a team was. The leaders of Feng's side were Yao Gang, Flanders and Zhao Wuji. They did not have VIP qualifications, so naturally they could only watch the battle here. On the other side, the leader of the royal fighting team was none other than Teacher Qin. Flanders saw Qin Ming, who was 100 meters away. At a glance, his face suddenly changed, and then gradually relaxed. The originally tense mood seemed to be relieved a lot. It seems that I don't need to worry this time. Wuji, look at who is on the other side. Zhao Wuji also saw Qin Ming, and his eyes widened. How could it be him? You know, Qin Ming is his disciple. When Yao Gang saw the 2 of them like this, he also asked in confusion, "Do you know the leader of the other side?" "What's going on?" Flanders smiled and said, "Keep it secret, and tell us after this battle of souls is over." On the central battle of souls, almost at the same time, everyone in the royal fighting team released their soul power, and 7 strong fighting intentions soared into the sky. The startled white dove soul master Douluo in the air hurriedly raised his altitude in the air again. She had seen stronger fighting spirit team battles than those below, but it was still extremely rare to have such a strong fighting intention as the one in front of her. Facing the overwhelming fighting spirit of the 7 members of the royal fighting team, Feng was thinking about how to pick up girls. After all, Zhuge Yan was his target. He was not greedy for Zhuge Yan's beauty. He just wanted the fairy grass. Of course, it would be a good choice if Zhuge Yan could be taken in together. After all, he had never played with a snake. After seeing Feng like this, the people of the royal fighting team could not help but burst into anger. This is too contemptuous. In Datu's eyes, the following people can only be described in one word. That is strong. No matter which side, they are all strong people she looks up to. As the host and commentator of the scene, she now doesn't know what words to use to explain this game. She knows that soon, a tit-for-tat fight will begin. Chapter 178, Sense of Oppression. The blue-gold-blue-silver king quietly swam out from around Feng's body. As his soul power increased, he entered the Soul King realm and could release more blue-silver grass than before. The blue light in his palm kept flashing, and the blue-silver king was released endlessly, occupying the ground on his side. Seeing Feng releasing his martial soul, the royal fighting team would naturally not fall behind. However, before releasing the martial soul, they still set up a formation. They knew that those who could choose a 1-on-7 battle would naturally not be weak. They didn't want to capsize in the gutter. The royal fighting team's formation was directly set up. Standing in the front was not their captain, the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex Soul Master Yutan. Instead, it was the 2 Black Tortoise Soul Master She brothers. The 2 of them, one on the left and one on the right, shouted at the same time when it announced the start of the fighting spirit, and the khaki light rose from under their feet. The loud sound of bones bursting sounded. Before releasing the martial soul, the She brothers first threw off their shirts, revealing their solid muscles like granite. As their martial spirits were released, their shoulders slowly leaned forward, and their backs half bent. All the earthy yellow light condensed by the soul power gathered behind them, and unexpectedly formed a huge dark yellow tortoise shell. The lines on the tortoise shell were light yellow, and the bones of the She brothers seemed to have changed with the appearance of the tortoise shell. Not only did the tortoise shell appear behind them, but it also appeared in front of them, and their limbs also became shorter with the appearance of the tortoise shell. In the middle of the plastron in the tortoise shell, there was a huge symbol. It was flashing with a faint blue light. 2 yellow and 1 purple, 3 soul rings coiled around their bodies from bottom to top, because their martial spirits had expanded their bodies a lot after the tortoise shell was produced. The soul rings coiled around their bodies and seemed to be a little deformed. The strong momentum generated by Feng was forcibly blocked from the front after the She brothers released their martial spirits, and it could not exert any pressure on the other members of the royal fighting team behind them. It is worthy of being the Black Tortoise martial spirit. Yutan could be seen from the gap between the She brothers, as one of the top beast martial spirits. The Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex ignited the emotions of all the VIP audience at the very beginning. A dazzling blue light suddenly lit up from the center of Yutan's eyebrows, and then the blue light spread instantly. From the center of his eyebrows to his whole body, blue-purple electric shocks burst out like little snakes, circling around his body. On the surface, Yutan's changes were not very big, except for the addition of a blue lightning mark on his forehead. Only one part of his body changed because of the martial spirit. However, this change alone was more thorough than the changes of all the beast spirit masters present. What changed was his right arm. The original right sleeve exploded and turned into ashes due to the expansion of his right arm, and the length of his arm increased by more than half a foot. The whole arm was extremely thick and covered with blue-purple scales. The hand turned into a claw, covered with the same scales. Every joint on the hand became extremely thick, and the blue-purple snake electricity circling around him continued to condense or flow on his arm. The 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple, were not hovering on the body like other soul masters, but hovering on this special mutated arm. Feng looked at the changes in Yutan at this time. The knowledge and weaknesses of a top-level martial soul, the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex, suddenly appeared in his mind. The Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex has some differences from other martial souls. First of all, as a Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex Soul Master, the soul rings that can be obtained must be soul beasts of the sub-dragon species, otherwise they are useless. Starting from level 30, Every time a blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex Soul Master obtains a soul ring, when using the martial soul, there will be an additional dragon-like part on the body. Like Yu Tanheng's right arm now, it is the change of his first limb. When it reaches level 70, the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex Soul Master can really transform into a dragon and burst out extremely terrifying power. It is known as the most terrifying strong attacking Soul Master at the same level. In short, if Yu Tanheng and Zhao Wuji are both level 70, then Zhao Wuji's martial soul body, the powerful King Kong Bear incarnation, is definitely not a match for the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex incarnation. How can a bear and a dragon be on the same level? Therefore, Yu Tanheng's right arm is no longer human, but a dragon arm with dragon scales attached to it, and his right hand has also become a dragon claw. Behind Yu Tanheng is a green color, and the body of Zhu Guyan with red and green eyes seems to be extremely soft at this time. Gently shaking his upper body, his pair of green eyes became particularly sharp, and his cold breath did not have any human emotions. There was a diamond-shaped green scale between his eyebrows. When he looked closely, Dao Wu and others who were watching the battle below were all shocked, because at this time, Zhu Guyan had lost his legs. No, it should be said that his legs were fused together and turned into a thick snake tail, relying on the snake tail to support her body. No wonder she would swing back and forth. The Black Panther Soul Master Oslo has not changed much. He was originally dressed in black, and now even his head has turned black, and his beautiful face like a woman looks a little pale. However, his pupils have become two vertical lines, and his whole body is full of danger waiting. And he also has 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. This optimal spirit ring configuration seems to be as easy as a daily meal for the entire royal fighting team. Among all the royal fighting team, the one who has changed the most after the spirit is possessed is probably the Wind Chime Bird Spirit Master Yu Feng. A pair of medium-sized wings stretch out from his back, which is different from the White Dove Spirit Master Douluo in the air. His wings are brown and yellow, and the feathers on the wings do not look soft at all, but have a more solid texture. Yu Feng's pair of wings did not grow out of thin air, but were transformed from his arms. At this time, the wings flapped and flew into the air. Looking down at Yun Feng's actions, he did not forget to look at the beautiful woman Douluo in the air above, and even whistled at Douluo's long legs. Obviously, he did not take his opponent Yun Feng seriously at all. Due to the dense front row, Yun Feng could not see the opponent's auxiliary spirit master, Nine-Heart Begonia Yilingaling from his angle at this time. The pressure brought by the optimal spirit ring configuration of 2 yellow and 1 purple was unparalleled, but Yun Feng did not care at all. The soul rings penetrated his body directly. The 5 rings vibrated together. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black. The sense of oppression brought by the 5 soul rings is not something that ordinary people can compare to. Moreover, Yun Feng's soul rings were absorbed beyond the limit. Then the soul ring modifier replaced the original attributes of his soul rings, the plug-in plus the strong heart. And these 2 things are his advantages when facing the royal fighting team's fighting soul team. Although this battle has not yet begun, the audience on the viewing platform dare not breathe a sigh of relief. Chapter 179. He is fighting against the Soul King. After seeing Yun Feng like this, Yu Tanheng and others looked at each other. Now they knew why Yun Feng dared to participate in the soul fight alone. This sense of oppression is stronger than that of ordinary soul emperors. He was a little dazed, but he also realized that this must be an unprecedented hard battle. At this time, Douluo, who was floating in the air, was possessed by the martial spirit, and Yu Feng's face was a little hot when he saw the relaxed face. But she was still very professional. 2 very simple words that became the fuse of igniting explosives came out of her cherry mouth. Start. As Douluo's voice sounded, Yun Feng did not hesitate at all. Under the blessing of the soul skill, the Blue Silver King suddenly swelled. The body continued to expand, and in just a blink of an eye, it formed a huge Blue Silver King of 100 meters. Then after the body reached its peak, it began to split continuously. The first soul skill, the art of multiplication! As Yun Feng's mind moved, the Blue Silver Kings in the sky slapped down directly. Yun Feng stood there, like a god. He didn't even do it himself. Yu Tanheng and the others who saw this scene instantly became terrified. They didn't expect it to unfold like this. If they were hit by this giant blue-silver king, they would be crippled if not dead. Stone mill, graphite, with Yu Tanheng's roar. The faces of the two Shi brothers were like the tortoise shells on their bodies. There was no change from beginning to end, and they watched the blue-silver king fall. The two were not afraid at all, and their bodies moved closer to the center at the same time, trying to block the impact from the front. The first soul ring on their bodies lit up, and a heavy breath was released from the two black tortoise soul masters. The yellow light that permeated their bodies, coupled with their heavy tortoise shells, were obviously ready to meet the impact of Yun Feng's soul skills. Yun Feng also wanted to know at this time whether the current limit of his soul skills could break the defense of this top martial soul. The explosion of the air, coupled with the sound of rushing down, the heads of Shimo and Shimo suddenly shrank under the cover of the blue-silver king, and they shrank into their chests. To be more precise, they shrank into their extremely hard tortoise shells. Boom! The clanging sound resounded throughout the arena, and the ground broke. Dust and mud rushed to the sky. After the gray fog dissipated, under the gaze of everyone, the two tortoise shells still remained in place, but they were embedded in the mud. As one of the strongest defensive martial spirits, the black tortoise is not so easy to break. Yun Feng shook his head unsatisfied at this time. It's so hard. It seems that I still need to use some strength. After thinking of this, Yun Feng's second soul skill also appeared. Second soul skill, gravity. Boom! An invisible pressure directly enveloped the entire fighting spirit arena. Under Yun Feng's operation, he directly suppressed the Shi brothers underground. Then he controlled the blue-silver king to cover them with mud, bury them alive. Of course, Yun Feng didn't want to kill the two brothers. However, the two brothers had completely lost their ability to fight. There was no point in continuing to fight them. It would only affect his own attack. After all, he did not want to cause any loss of life. But at this moment, a blue figure had already appeared in front of Yun Feng, and the thick dragon arms were shining with dazzling blue light under the lights of the central fighting arena. Before the person arrived, the blue lightning had already condensed into claws in the air and rushed straight to Yun Feng's chest. All of this seemed to have been calculated long ago. At the same time that Yun Feng used his soul skills, the captain of the royal fighting team, the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex Soul Master Yu Tanheng, had also charged. But that was the moment when the two Black Tortoise Soul Masters were close together. Yu Tanheng's actions were completely blocked behind him, so that Yun Feng on this side could not see. And at the moment when Yun Feng's attack failed and the empty door was exposed, Yu Tanheng soared into the air, and the first soul ring on his body flashed violently. The condensed thunder dragon claws had already been shot out. This was the cooperation of the royal fighting team, although it was an opportunity obtained by sacrificing two teammates. But they didn't expect Yun Feng's attack to be so outrageous at first. The speed of lightning was so fast that Yun Feng's blue-purple electric claws had already reached his chest almost at the same time he saw the blue figure. Yu Tanheng's eyes flashed with a hint of fanaticism. Soul King. He was hitting the Soul King. As the Soul Master with the strongest attack of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex, even if Yun Feng blocked his attack, but as long as he followed up and cooperated with his teammates, the balance of victory and defeat would be directly tilted. But at this moment, Yun Feng suddenly disappeared, disappearing out of thin air in front of Yu Tanheng. With Yu Tanheng's calmness, he couldn't help but be stunned in the air. Yun Feng naturally couldn't teleport. But don't forget his soul skills. The moment he saw Yu Tanheng, Yun Feng directly used his fourth soul skill. Even if his physical strength could withstand Yu Tanheng's attack, Yun Feng didn't want to be beaten. If a Soul King suffered a loss at the hands of a Soul Master, it would be such a shame. The lightning dragon claws that Yu Tanheng released flew through the air for 20 meters before dissipating. Wherever they passed, the air twisted violently, and there was a heart-pounding crackling sound. The battle was ignited in this crackling sound, but it was ignited for less than a second. Yu Tanheng didn't want to fight anymore. I saw that the Blue-Silver King, which was tens of meters wide and hundreds of meters high, surrounded Yun Feng. Then Yun Feng spread the wings on his back and floated in the air. Everyone in the royal fighting team was dumbfounded. The only one who could attack Yun Feng now was Yu Feng, but Yu Feng couldn't even break through the Blue Silver King's obstacle. How could he fight? Yun Feng didn't rush to attack the people in the royal fighting team at this time. Instead, he looked at Yu Feng in the air and said jokingly, "Are you going down by yourself, or am I going to knock you down?" Yu Feng was stunned, and then he remembered what happened to the Shi brothers just now. He silently lowered his own height. He did this to preserve his strength. Yes, not afraid. It's just that at the moment of coming down, his knees accidentally bent. After seeing the battle situation turn out like this, Zhuge Yan also understood, the only way to win at this time is on himself. Looking at Yun Feng's arrogant eyes and actions, Zhuge Yan's heart suddenly rose with anger. The third soul ring on his body suddenly lit up, the originally green eyes turned completely purple, and even the green scales on the snake's tail were covered with a layer of light purple light. He opened his mouth and spewed out a mouthful of thick purple mist, which quickly spread in the air and surged towards the direction where Yun Feng was. With a serious face, he stared at the gradually drifting purple mist. At this time, the purple mist had separated the two sides like a barrier, and slowly approached Yun Feng. Unless he retreated from the fighting spirit stage, he would be shrouded by the purple mist. Chapter 180 Crush. Before the poisonous fog arrived, a pungent smell had already come, which made people nauseous and dizzy. After feeling the power of the poisonous fog, Yun Feng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It's worthy of being a top-level poisonous martial spirit. But Yun Feng didn't intend to lose the game. Under the gaze of everyone, Yun Feng controlled the Blue Silver King and began to swing wildly and regularly. In a blink of an eye, these Blue Silver Kings were like a dozen huge fans. They dispersed all the poisonous fog and floated towards the people of Dandu Royal Academy. However, facing the invasion of the poisonous fog, the people of the royal team did not panic. Instead, everyone stuffed something into their mouths and was not affected at all in the green fog. After seeing this situation, Zhuge Yan's originally proud face became bitter. Seeing that the opponent did not admit defeat, Yun Feng didn't want to play anymore. Yun Feng fell from the sky and pressed his palm on the ground. The huge Blue Silver King that originally surrounded the fighting spirit field fell directly to the ground. 1, 2 hits, 3 hits. The huge power shook the entire fighting arena a few times. Flanders on the viewing platform was extremely excited at this time. He shook Yao Gang's shoulders frantically and shouted, "Yao Gang, we are rich, we are rich." I knew Yun Feng could do it. Compared with the excitement of Flanders and others, Yao Gang and Tang San only had bitter faces. Yao Gang regretted, and Tang San lost his love. In the fighting arena, 3 rounds of smashing came down. Everyone in the royal fighting team was completely lying on the ground. If Yi Ling hadn't released the treatment in time, they would have died at this time. But even so, they were still completely knocked unconscious and lost their fighting ability. The only one standing was Yi Ling. Yun Feng left this place on purpose, otherwise, something really happened. Yun Feng didn't want to face the pursuit. First of all, he had to deal with the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family behind Yu Tan and Zhuge Bo behind Zhuge Yan. Those people that Yi Ling's family had saved would come to trouble him. So Yun Feng did not use his second and third soul skills when he smashed. Otherwise, the giant Blue Silver King, which was 100 meters tall, would put on armor and be pulled by gravity. Yun Feng did not dare to imagine what would happen. So far, all the soul masters of the royal fighting team who could fight had lost their ability to fight again. 9-Heart Begonia Soul Master Yi Ling also showed fear in his eyes, and could not understand why a Soul King could be so powerful. Yi Ling was wearing a black veil. When he got closer, Yun Feng discovered that the mysterious auxiliary Soul Master had a pair of extremely beautiful big eyes. His eyes were clear and there was no impurity. His long eyelashes were slightly curved, and he seemed to be able to speak when he blinked. "Hurry up and save them, or something will happen." After saying this, Yun Feng also raised his head and looked at Douluo, who was hiding on the chandelier of the Great Fighting Soul Arena. "My beautiful referee, can you announce the result?" Douluo finally woke up from his dream, but he was still a little hesitant. He maintained his professionalism and glanced at where Yi Ling was. Yi Ling felt the gaze coming. Without any hesitation, he said directly, "We admit defeat." After hearing this, Douluo also breathed a sigh of relief, but he didn't dare to look at Yun Feng's eyes at all. He hurriedly announced, "Team Fighting Soul, the commander wins." After saying this, he ran away at a high speed. Just now, those huge blue silver kings almost touched her. It was too scary. On the other side, after Yilingling's treatment, the people of the royal fighting team also gathered together with each other's support. Everyone's face was very ugly, especially Yutan and the two black tortoise soul masters. At this time, their faces were so gloomy that they seemed to be dripping with water. Yutan stared at Yun Feng and just met Yun Feng's gaze. "You are very strong, but next time, I will not lose." After saying this, he looked at Yun Feng deeply, and then left with the help of his teammates. However, under Yun Feng's gaze, Zhuge Yan, who was walking, suddenly turned back. "I will always remember today's shame. One day, I will make you bow down to my snake venom." Yun Feng smiled. "Anytime." This beautiful lady, Yilingling, the nine-heart begonia soul master, turned back with Zhuge Yan. Her eyes were different from the competitive spirit in Zhuge Yan's eyes. It was a special brilliance with a frightened emotion. She looked at Yun Feng deeply, wanted to say something, but didn't say it after all, turned around and left with his companions. Applause rang out at this moment, which came from all the VIP rooms through special amplification equipment. Yun Feng's performance won the hearts of all the VIP audiences present, although the number of spectators was not more than outside. But for such a victory, this appropriate applause put a perfect end to the strong collision of fighting spirits. Although this one is much stronger than the other one, Qin Ming always stood at the entrance, waiting for his disciples to come one by one. There was no unhappy expression on his face, but a faint smile. In his opinion, this might be a good result. "Sorry, Teacher Qin, we lost." Yu Tan stopped in front of Qin Ming and lowered his always proud head. Qin Ming did not speak, but just looked at him quietly. Yu Tan can be said to be his most proud disciple and his pride. Yu Tan continued, "Today's defeat, forget it. If you want to punish me." Qin Ming is definitely not a gentle person. On the contrary, he is extremely strict when educating his disciples. It is a heavy punishment at any time. "No, Captain, this is not your fault." Who would have thought that the other party is so powerful? Black Panther Soul Master Oslo hurriedly explained for Yu Tan. Yu Tan sighed and shook his head. "No, Oslo, it's his business if he's good. If he loses, he loses. Finding any excuse is denying yourself." "No, even if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. As a control-type soul master, the soul of the team, I'm the commander on the battlefield, but I didn't play any role." From childhood to adulthood, Zhuge Yan rarely cried. She has spent the past 20 years of her life in smooth sailing. The rare poison-type control ability, the profound family background, and the strong soul power among her peers have always kept her at the top of the pyramid. Today's defeat was a bigger blow to her than anyone else. At this moment, tears of humiliation flowed from her eyes unconsciously. The two black tortoise soul masters did not say anything. Yu Feng was about to say something, but was stopped by Qin Ming. "For you, although this is a failure, it is a good thing," Qin Ming said with a smile. There was no harshness in his tone that the members of the royal fighting team were waiting for. Chapter 181, Yu Gang's Suggestion, Martial Spirit Evolution, ? Yu Tan was stunned for a moment, looking at Qin Ming, and suddenly understood something in his heart. Oslo couldn't help but say, "Teacher Qin, why is it a good thing that we lost so badly?" Qin Ming said lightly, "Because everything you have experienced so far has been too smooth. Although you have encountered setbacks now, this setback has not caused any of you to suffer irreparable harm after all. If the setback is in the future, perhaps you will have to pay the price of your life to understand everything in front of you. Failure is not terrible. What is terrible is that you cannot learn lessons from failure. I think you should have found some mistakes that belong to you. Each of you has unique talents and conditions. I only have one sentence for you." At this point, he paused and his eyes swept over all the members of the royal fighting team. "Grow and failure, grow and failure." The members of the royal fighting team repeated Qin Ming's words. Qin Ming waved his hand. "You all go back and rest, and recover as soon as possible. I still have to meet a few people." After speaking, Ming turned and strode away. In stark contrast to the depression of the royal fighting team, the eyes of the Shrek people were filled with uncontrollable excitement. They all came to Feng to celebrate for him. The master and Tang San looked at each other. Tang San saw regret in the master's eyes. Gang also saw sadness in Tang San's eyes. For the master and apprentice, it was too uncomfortable. Flanders did not hesitate to praise Feng. Good boy. I really didn't misjudge you. Keeping you was the most correct choice in my life. Gang twitched. Dao Wuji also nodded. When you fought with me, I felt that you didn't use your full strength. Now it seems that it is true. Feng, how much do you still hide? Feng laughed and said nothing. Gang twitched again. The more people praised Feng, the more incompetent he seemed. But what a pity, after listening to the praise of the two, he actually turned his head and looked at Gang. Gang suddenly felt as uncomfortable as if he had eaten shit when he remembered Feng's rejection of him just now. But everyone was looking at him, and everyone in Shrek was also looking at him. Gang took a deep breath, forced himself to calm down, and squeezed out a smile. You played well, but the details are still a little inadequate. I have some suggestions. I suggest you watch more of how other people fight their spirits. Learning from the strengths of hundreds of schools will help you develop your spirit better. Received the advice of Gang, the knowledge tailor and theoretical master, to watch more fighting spirit competitions. Reward: 1 chance for spirit evolution. Feng was stunned. Gang was a good person. The listening system that had not been able to start for a long time came with a task again. Feng casually looked at the suggestions he had now and was very satisfied. Current suggestions: 1. Receive Jack's suggestion that diligence can make up for shortcomings. Meditate for at least 1 hour every day. Reward: meditation speed tripled. Meditation quality tripled. 2. Received Tang San's suggestion to go to bed early and get up early, and drink more hot water. Reward: innate spirit power increased slowly. 3. Accept Tang San's suggestion and eat more food. Reward: rapid physical growth, rapid growth in appearance, and physical strength, depending on the food and quantity eaten. 4. Accept Tang San's suggestion, find more soul master girlfriends, and reproduce. Reward: self-made soul ring effect. A soul bone is rewarded for each additional girlfriend, depending on talent. 5. Accept the blacksmith's suggestion, familiarize yourself with blacksmith knowledge. Reward: soul guide production method. 6. Accept the chef's suggestion, familiarize yourself with chef knowledge. Reward: full level chef. 9. Accept Gang's suggestion, watch more fighting spirit competitions. Reward: martial soul evolution once. After seeing Feng like this, Gang felt much better. Ahem, let's stop this training this time. Your performance can be called excellent, and the training has passed. Oscar smiled and said, Master, then after we go back, should we give us a holiday? Flanders frowned. Don't be too proud, you little guys. Can't you see that today's victory is entirely because of Feng, and has nothing to do with you? Oscar was probably too excited at this time, and he immediately retorted, but, Dean, I remember you once taught us that we are a team. Have you forgotten it? You little brat. Humph. Although Flanders was scolding Oscar, he was actually the happiest among them. He made money, didn't he? Let's talk about ideals. Shrek Academy can be said to be his persistence all the time. And now, he finally saw the most outstanding group of students in the history of Shrek Academy. He believed that within 20 years, these children in front of him would bring a storm to the entire Douluo continent Soul Master world. A real storm. Dao Wuji didn't say anything else at this time, but smiled and said, Okay, Flanders, you don't have to be so timid. The children have been working hard enough during this period. Master, do you think we should let them rest for a while when we go back? When he spoke to Gang, he was not so polite. After seeing Dao Wuji like this, Gang nodded slowly. It's time to let them rest. This time, I'll give you half a month's vacation. You can do what you want. Then I'll consider when to start the third stage of the trial. There is a third stage? Except for Feng and Tang San, the other 6 people couldn't help but exclaimed at the same time. Gang just glanced at them calmly, and his face returned to the traditional stiffness. "What, do you have any objections?" "No, no, of course not, Master. You are the wisest. Let alone the third stage, even if it is the fourth and fifth. We will definitely be able to persist." Oscar rushed to answer. Zhuzuking and Ning Rongrong looked at Oscar with contempt, obviously very disdainful. But to be honest, although Yao Gang's method is not as good as Yun Feng and his family's, but the medicinal bath is indeed a real improvement. There is nothing to refute this. But compared to Zhuzuking and Ning Rongrong, everyone else is thinking about what the third stage of the trial will be. At this time, a person walked over slowly. Before the person arrived, the voice had already come first. "Dean Flanders, Vice Dean Zhao Wuji, how are you?" "Disciple Qin Ming greets you." The one who came was Qin Ming, the instructor of the royal fighting team. He took a few steps forward and knelt on one knee in front of Flanders and Zhao Wuji. Chapter 182 has completely taken the shape of Shrek. At this moment, he had completely lost the calmness he had when he was supporting the royal fighting team. His eyes were filled with excitement. Flanders propped up the crystal glasses on his nose with his hand. "I thought you, a stinky boy, had forgotten about us a long time ago." Zhao Wuji helped Qin Ming up from the ground, looked him up and down, and laughed. "Good boy, you are getting better and better. It seems that it won't be long before you will catch up with us old guys." Qin Ming stood respectfully with his hands down. No matter what time, the two deans are always Qin Ming's teachers, and Qin Ming will always be a disciple of Shrek Academy. Looking at the scene in front of them, except Yun Feng, the other people in Shrek couldn't help but be stunned. Although they didn't know what Qin Ming did, they saw it clearly when Qin Ming appeared at the other end of the entrance of the fighting arena. This person obviously has a deep relationship with the royal fighting team, but from the meaning of his words, could he be? Flanders raised his hand and patted Qin Ming's shoulder hard. "You've been away from the academy for so many years, but you're still as reserved as before. Come, let me introduce them to you. This is the master, and this is Yun Feng, whom you saw in the fighting spirit stage just now. As for them, they are also disciples of our academy." Qin Ming first saluted Yao Gang respectfully, and he performed the disciples' etiquette. "Hello, Master." Yao Gang naturally refused to accept this etiquette. In his heart, not just any cat or dog can be his disciple. He turned aside and did not accept his etiquette, saying calmly, "You're welcome." Qin Ming was stunned when he saw that the master did not accept his etiquette, but Flanders on the side smiled and said, "You are his nephew's teacher. In this respect, you are of the same generation as him. Of course, he will not accept your etiquette." Qin Ming looked at Flanders in confusion. Yao Gang's eyes showed a trace of dissatisfaction, as if blaming Flanders for revealing his bottom line. Flanders chuckled and said, "We are all family, so you don't have to hide it." "Do you really want me to tell everyone that Yutan is your nephew?" "What?" The other people in Shrek almost exclaimed at the same time. They could never have imagined that Yao Gang was born in the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family, which is known as the most aggressive family among the 7 major families. Yao Gang's face suddenly darkened. "You have already told them, Flanders." "I have said many times that I have no relationship with the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family." After saying this, Yao Gang turned around and walked out. Tang San stepped forward to catch up with his teacher, but was stopped by Yao Gang. "You still have to calculate the fighting spirit points for this month. Go back with Flanders later. I have something to do." Watching Yao Gang leave, Tang San looked at Flanders with some doubts, but he gradually understood the reason in his heart. No wonder Yao Gang had a strange expression when he mentioned the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family. It turned out that he was born in such a powerful spirit master family. In such a family, he had a spirit that mutated to be as weak as Sanpao. "If it were me, I would probably," Flanders said with some regret. "I am too talkative, but it's okay. Yao Gang has long been used to this." Qin Ming let out a long breath. "I never thought that the master is Tanheng's uncle." Flanders' expression quickly returned to normal, and he said to the Shrek people, "You must be wondering why Qin Ming came here. In fact, it's very simple. He was once a member of Shrek Academy like you, and he was once the most outstanding student, the first graduate of Shrek Academy. The fastest record of level 30 in the academy was held by Qin Ming." Qin Ming smiled at the Shrek people and said, Hello, fellow students, Teacher Flanders. It seems that our Shrek Academy has developed better than it is now. Dao Wuji on the side said helplessly, what's good about it? These children will be the last batch of students in the academy. Qin Ming was shocked and subconsciously said, has the financial problem of the academy not been solved yet? As soon as he said this, he realized that he had said something wrong, and looked at Flanders with an embarrassed expression. Flanders sighed. That's the fact. There's nothing to hide. Besides, we're tired. As we get older, we no longer have the drive we had when we were young. After these kids graduate, I think we can also live our own lives. Qin Ming, the students you teach are all very good. Each one can be considered an elite. Qin Ming smiled bitterly and said, it's not that I teach well, but that those kids have excellent talents and backgrounds. It's not that I have the attraction to teach them, but that our academy has something attractive enough to attract them. Oh, so, you teach in a college? Flanders looked at him in surprise. Qin Ming nodded and said, Teacher Flanders, I am now teaching at Dandu Royal Academy. The 7 children of the Royal Fighting Team are all the most outstanding disciples of Dandu Royal Academy. Bringing them out this time is considered an experience, and it is just right for me to come back and see our Shrek Academy. I didn't expect that after just 2 days. My junior gave me a big gift. Flanders laughed and said, as soon as I saw you, I felt relieved about this battle of souls. Well, this is not a place to talk. Let's go to the hotel where we are staying. We haven't seen each other for so many years. Let's chat. Qin Ming nodded happily and agreed. His eyes swept over the Shrek people one by one, and his heart moved secretly. He clearly heard what Flanders said before, and he also knew what record he had held in Shrek Academy, and this record has been broken by these people, which shows that they should not be very old now. When Yun Feng saw this, he finally understood why Flanders was so good at Pua. Qin Ming, this kid, has completely taken the shape of Shrek. He didn't want to say anything about this. That's it, Pua can't work on me anyway, and under Yun Feng's guidance, as long as Flanders has this intention, he will be attacked by everyone in an instant. Drop out directly. Flanders naturally didn't dare to continue. At this time, Qin Ming had also agreed to look up information before. Naturally, he knew the strength of these students in front of him, but Yun Feng was a little hard for him to see through. But he didn't think Yun Feng was very young. After all, the strength of the Soul King was too terrifying. So compared to Yun Feng, he was more concerned about the 7 people behind Yun Feng. The 7 Shrek people in front of him were younger and more outstanding than the 7 students of the Royal Fighting Team trained by the Dandu Royal Academy. He knew the conditions of Shrek Academy very well. With the conditions of the academy, it was able to train these talented soul masters. What does this prove? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183. I told you to read more books, but you didn't listen. At this time, everyone in Shrek focused their attention on Qin Ming. Although Yun Feng had fought in the previous battle, they suddenly knew that the other team's leader was actually their senior. This feeling was very strange and a little weird to them. Flanders turned to everyone in Shrek and said slowly, okay, you guys go settle the points first, and then come back quickly. Wuji, Qin Ming, let's go. Flanders and the other 2 left, leaving only Yun Feng and the others. Oscar looked at Yun Feng and asked directly, Brother Feng, do you want to eat some sausage to restore your soul power? Yun Feng shook his head and said, I haven't consumed too much soul power, so I don't need it. Oscar nodded and didn't say anything else. Only Ma Hongjun muttered to himself, it turns out that we are so powerful, even the elites of Dandu Royal Academy can't beat me. Haha, I am really a genius. Daima Bai knocked the fat man on the head in annoyance. Genius, did you defeat the royal team? That's because Yun Feng is so good. If it was up to you and us to go on the field, we would have been beaten to a pulp long ago. Ma Hongjun chuckled and said, Boss Dai, you can't say that. Didn't the master say that we are a whole and everyone has contributed? Yun Feng is great, but I, Fatty, also cheered. When everyone heard this, They were speechless. I've never seen anyone taking credit like this. Yun Feng smiled. After getting a new task of listening to advice, he was very happy now and didn't care much, saying, "Didn't you just say that we are a whole? Let's go and get the points to exchange for the fighting spirit level and go back early." At this time, Tang San suddenly asked everyone, "What kind of academy is the Tandu Royal Academy that Senior Qin Ming just mentioned?" Dime Bai was speechless for a while, but still explained, "You don't even know about the Tandu Royal Academy?" Tang San scratched his head, a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes, and he slowly said, "I really don't know." Dao Wu beside him also nodded. Neither of them is the kind of person who likes to read books. Yun Feng didn't know what to say. "I told you to read more books, but you didn't listen." Dao Wu stuck out her tongue, but did not refute Yun Feng, just said seriously, "You told us, are they famous?" Ning Rong saw Dao Wu asking, and also explained, "How can the word famous explain it?" The Tandu Royal Academy was founded by the royal family of the Tandu Empire. The presidents of the Tandu Royal Academy in the past were all concurrently served by the emperors of the Tandu Empire. Do you think it is famous? In the Tandu Empire, the Tandu Royal Academy is the largest high-level Soul Master Academy. The completeness of various facilities is unimaginable. If I hadn't been admitted to our Shrek Academy, I might have gone there. Dime Bai also nodded, and then expressed his own opinion. It's a pity that although Tandu Academy is good, its royal background has brought great constraints to the academy. The first requirement for Tandu Royal Academy to accept students is that the students must have a noble title. Many outstanding civilian students cannot join it. It is precisely because the students are all nobles that the Tandu Royal Academy, with complete facilities and strong teaching staff, has always occupied the title of the first academy in Tandu. But famous spirit masters coming out of it are rare. Royal background. Tang San nodded slowly. He didn't envy the facilities of the other academy, but he was a little curious about this academy. No wonder the members of the royal team all have such powerful martial spirits, and they are from such a famous academy. Oscar suddenly said, "Boss Dai, Yun Feng, what level do you think Senior Qin Ming is now?" Dime Bai was stunned for a moment, looking at Senior Qin. He should be in his 30s. The previous record of the academy was that he was level 30 at the age of 14, 2 months earlier than you. In this way, Senior Qin Ming should be at least level 50 now. He is already above level 50 in his early 30s. He is really strong. No wonder he can become a teacher at the Tandu Royal Academy. But at this time, Ning Rong directly said, "He is only above level 50 at the age of 30. Why don't you talk about Yun Feng?" Yun Feng, who was 12 years old, is now a Soul King. After this, everyone was embarrassed. It was Yun Feng who directly said, "Okay, let's not talk about this." Tang San also nodded hurriedly at this time. "I think Dime Bai is right." He agreed with Dime Bai's guess. Oscar shook his head and said, "I don't think so. It's no problem to be a teacher in a high-level Spirit Master Academy at level 50, but you should note that Senior Qin Ming leads the royal fighting team. Then, he must have a very high status in the Tandu Royal Academy. Is it possible without strength to guarantee it? I think, even if he is not level 60, he is probably not much different." Ma Hongjun was obviously standing here impatient. "Okay, let's go. If you want to know what level Senior Qin Ming is, why don't you go back and ask him?" "Why guess here?" The 1-month spirit fighting finally ended. In the end, Yun Feng defeated the royal fighting team. The Shrek team also won 28 undefeated team spirits. And according to the agreement between Yu Gang and the Soto Great Spirit Fighting Arena, everyone except Oscar and Ning Rong will add a one-on-one victory record. And except for Ma Hongjun, who has no partner, the other 6 will each get a 2-on-2 victory record. After so many spirit fighting games, everyone is a little curious about their own points. They didn't know what their points would be after these consecutive victories. This wasn't just about points, there were also bonuses. They were all released today, the last day of the month. Before everyone went to the place where the points were calculated, Manager Rao had already taken the initiative to come to them and invited everyone to a point exchange place for high-level soul masters. Manager Rao was very proud at this time, The victory of the Shrek team over the Royal Fighting Team not only avoided the loss of the Soto Grand Fighting Soul Arena, but also made the Grand Fighting Soul Arena a big profit. Of course, the Soto Grand Fighting Soul Arena would not be stingy with Yun Feng in front of him. Manager Rao handed a black card to Yun Feng. This is the 10,000 gold soul coins that the Grand Fighting Soul Arena promised to your team leader. This black card is universal in all banks on the mainland and can be directly exchanged for the corresponding amount. Yun Feng was not polite and took the black card directly into his arms. Manager Rao, can you calculate their points now? We are also tired and want to go back and rest early. Of course. Manager Rao was very polite and quickly signaled to the staff next to him to calculate the fighting spirit points of other Shrek members for the past month. Chapter 184. If it hurts, it's not a dream. He had seen the group soul battle today clearly, especially after knowing Yun Feng's real age. For young soul masters with such potential, the great soul fighting arena must win them over. So to Yun Feng, this Director Rao was even more polite. He had already thought that when the other Shrek people came to participate in the soul battle next month, he would definitely take extra care of them and try to win over these powerful young people. But how could he know that this was the last soul battle of the Shrek people in the Soto Great Soul Fighting Arena? Soon, the calculation results came out. The staff member took the calculation form and said, "Evil-eyed white tiger, because the last time you participated in the fighting spirit before this month has been more than 3 months, and there have been no more than 5 consecutive wins before, therefore, the fighting spirit twins obtained before this month will not be accumulated with the winning streak this month." One-on-one fighting spirit. This month's results are 26 wins and 2 losses, of which the 2 losses are in the 15th and 27th games respectively. Therefore, the 5 consecutive wins and more games are calculated twice, a total of 10 games, and the 10 consecutive wins and more games are 5 games. Achieved points, 609 points. 2-on-2 fighting spirit, member of the Rapid White Tiger combination, 17 wins and 11 losses, including 2 5-game winning streak games. Achieved points, 24 points. Team fighting spirit, captain of the Shrek 7 Devils, 28 consecutive wins, including 5 games with more than 5 consecutive wins, and 18 games with more than 10 consecutive wins. Gained points, 1,855 points. The points at the beginning of the month were 3, and the points gained this month totaled 2,488 points. The current total points are 2,491 points. The Fighting Spirit badge has been upgraded to the Silver Fighting Spirit level. After the announcement, the staff handed him a Silver Fighting Spirit badge that had been made according to the record left by Daimabai, and handed him another black card, which contained the gold coin rewards for all his consecutive victories. Sausage Monopoly. No fighting spirit record before this month. This month's results: 1-on-1 fighting spirit, none. 2-on-2 fighting spirit, member of the double-winged white tiger combination, 17 wins and 11 losses, including 2 5-game winning streak games. Points earned, 24 points. Team fighting spirit, member of the Shrek 7 Devils team, 28 consecutive wins, including 5 games with more than 5 consecutive wins, and 18 games with more than 10 consecutive wins. Points earned, 1,855 points. The points at the beginning of the month were 0, and the points earned this month totaled 1,879 points. The current total points are 1,879 points. The Fighting Spirit badge has been upgraded to the Silver Fighting Spirit level. The next staff also read out the scores of other people. Basically, all of them have been promoted to the Silver Fighting Spirit level. Until they left the big Fighting Spirit field, everyone still felt a little incredible. At this time, they had all found a secluded restroom in their big Fighting Soul Arena and changed back into their clothes. Looking at the bright stars in the night sky, Oscar murmured, 1 month. It's really only 1 month that I have become a Silver Fighting Soul? Every time I participate in a Fighting Soul in the future, I can get rich gold soul coins? This is incredible. Oscar suddenly felt a pain in his arm, and he shuddered and looked at Daimabai beside him with grievance. Boss Dai, why are you pinching me? Daimabai also smiled and explained, at this time, I want to see if it hurts. If it hurts, it's not a dream. In fact, everyone can understand that as an auxiliary spirit master, it is obviously not easy to obtain the silver fighting soul qualification so quickly. Everyone was talking and laughing, and slowly disappeared into the night. At this time, the members of the royal fighting team supported each other and walked towards the hotel where they lived. Although their injuries were healed under Yilingling's 9-heart begonia, they were still very weak at this time because of Yun Feng's previous attack. More importantly, the defeat in the Dun had dealt a severe blow to their spirits. Yilingling supported Zhu Guyan, Oslo supported Yutan, and Yufeng, the best performing wind chime bird spirit master, supported the Shi brothers, looking like the remnants of a defeated army. The 7 people walked in a gloomy atmosphere, and just as they were about to return to the hotel, a person suddenly blocked their way. "Dan, do you still recognize me?" A strange and loud voice sounded, causing the depressed Tutanhu to look up in surprise. With the moonlight, he could barely see the appearance of the person blocking the road, and he hesitated for a moment. You are, uncle, how come you were here?" It was Yu Gang who blocked the way of the royal team. Yu Gang walked in front of Yu Tan and stood still. "Let's talk alone." Yu Tan had even forgotten the depression of the defeat at this time, and nodded quickly, signaling to his teammates to go back to the hotel first. When the royal fighting team heard that this person was Yu Tan's uncle, they naturally didn't say much and walked back to their residence not far away. "Uncle, what are you doing?" Looking at Yu Gang, Yu Tan suddenly felt a little choked in his throat. Although Yu Gang had been away from home for many years, he still clearly remembered that when he was a child, this uncle often held him and played with him. At that time, his face was not as stiff as it is now. As the eldest son, his father had to learn to manage family affairs and practice with his grandfather every day. When he was a child, it was this uncle in front of him who accompanied him more. It can even be said that for a long time, Yu Tan regarded Yu Gang in front of him as his father. Yu Gang's eyes revealed a soft light, and he patted Yu Tan on the shoulder. "It seems that you have lived well these years. You are level 39. Xiao Heng has finally grown up." When Yu Gang said this, there was a flash of discomfort in his eyes. Yu Tan's eyes were slightly red. He had just experienced a setback, and suddenly seeing his relatives, it was a feeling of finding sustenance. He choked and said, "Uncle, come home with me. In fact, Grandpa has always been thinking about you, and so has Dad." Strong emotional fluctuations passed through Yu Gang's eyes, but after the emotions, there was a trace of resentment, but he did not show it. He just sighed and said indifferently, "Although your grandfather is the patriarch, the family is not just ruled by the patriarch. I have been driven out of the family and am not in the family tree. Can I go back? Are your grandfather and dad okay?" Yu Tan nodded. "They are all good, but Grandpa is old and doesn't take care of things anymore. Most of the affairs in the family are left to Dad to manage." "Uncle, you know, I have seen Grandpa staring at your portrait more than once. He must want you to go back and see it." "Don't say it." Yu Gang suddenly interrupted Yu Tan's words a little irritably, and his whole body twitched slightly for a few times, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. Chapter 185. At least we won't lose so badly. Yu Tan was tactful and didn't say anything, but when he looked at Yu Gang, his eyes showed deep admiration. Once upon a time, Yu Gang's warm hands held him, took him to play, and told him interesting stories about soul masters. In Yu Tan's entire childhood, these memories were much deeper than everything else. As the eldest grandson of the family, his grandfather and father were extremely strict with him, and they only cared about his soul power improvement and the use of soul skills. Only Yu Gang, only this waste in front of him had nothing to do. This uncle really brought him some childhood happiness. After a long time, Yu Gang took a deep breath and calmed his inner excitement. "Dan, maybe we will meet again soon. Don't be discouraged by today's failure. Failure is not terrible. What is terrible is that you can't learn lessons from failure. You are all very strong, but from today's battle of fighting spirits, you didn't show your strength. After all, the opponent is someone I once favored." Yu Tan's heart moved. The person opposite was favored by his uncle? What's going on? But when he thought of this, Yu Tan said directly, "Uncle, Have you also seen our group fighting spirit today? I have embarrassed the family. Yu Gang shook his head. Do you know where you are wrong? Yu Tan looked at Yu Gang in a daze. If Qin Ming asked this question, he might have many answers, but the one who asked him was his own uncle, the uncle with the lowest status in the entire family, and even the uncle who did not inherit the direct Tyrannosaurus Rex martial spirit. For some reason, he was speechless. Yu Tan raised his right hand and grabbed Yu Tan's shoulder, and then began his passionate speech. You didn't lose to your opponent, but to yourself. Yes, your basic skills, and even the application of soul skills, are all fine. The reason why you lost is simply because your opponent is too strong. Of course, it is also related to your own pride. If the 7 of you had acted directly before Yun Feng released his martial spirit, can you beat him? Yu Gang snorted. At least you won't lose so badly. Yu Tan looked at Yu Gang, and something gradually appeared in his eyes. He was very smart, and with the advice from Yu Gang and Qin Ming, he immediately realized some key issues. Uncle, don't worry, I will never lose to him again next time I have a chance. Yu Gang heard his nephew's words, although he didn't believe it in his heart, but he still showed a rare smile on the surface. You will have a chance, because I am the leader of the Shrek team. What? Yu Tan was shocked and looked at Yu Gang in disbelief. In the family, he heard all the rumors about Yu Gang. They said that Yu Gang had a useless martial spirit and those past events that brought shame to the family. Although he didn't care about these, he was very familiar with Yu Gang's strength. That was a strength that could never break through level 30. Yu Gang smiled calmly and said, "It's strange, isn't it? Yes, my own strength is not strong, but it doesn't mean that I can't teach good disciples. It can't be said that all the 8 Shrek people are my disciples, but now I am their teacher. I only have one direct disciple, and you will meet him in the future." When he thought of this, a gleam of light flashed in Yu Gang's eyes, and he shouted loudly, "One day, I will let the world know that although I, Yu Gang, am a waste, I can teach an unparalleled genius." Dan, I'm leaving. Remember my words. If you want to exert your full strength under any circumstances and lead your team to the final victory, then give up that pride. After speaking, Yu Gang looked at Yu Tan deeply, patted him on the shoulder, turned around and walked into the darkness. Uncle, can you teach me too? Yu Tan took a step forward. Yu Gang stopped and shook his head gently. Dan, if the family knew that I came to teach you, what do you think they would do? I'm afraid that I will immediately become the enemy of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family. If you really want to be a great spirit master, then take my apprentice as your goal. If one day you can surpass him, then you must have stood at the top of the mainland spirit masters. Uncle, why? Yu Tan asked somewhat unconvinced. Although he still had some knowledge of Tang San's information, he was sure that no matter how it mutated, it was just blue-silver grass, and it could never be compared with his Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex martial spirit. If it was a one-on-one duel, he would definitely be able to defeat his opponent. Yu Gang stopped and looked back at Yu Tan. Do you know what level his spirit power is? Yu Tan thought for a while and said, according to the information I got, he should be 32, but I think his spirit power should be about the same as mine. Zhuge Yan on his side is also a control spirit master, with a 38th level spirit power, but he was completely suppressed by him, so it should be about the same. Yu Gang shook his head and said, no, the information is correct. Dao San is indeed only at level 32 soul power. So, do you know how old he is this year? Yu Tan shook his head, but his heart suddenly skipped a beat. Yu Gang smiled calmly. He just turned 13, and when he was 12, he got his 3rd soul ring. By the way, the reason I asked you to give up your pride before was because Yun Feng, who was fighting against you, also just turned 13, and he is now a soul king. After saying this, he did not stay and turned around and floated away. Yu Tan stood there in a daze for a long time without moving, until Zhuge Yan found herself again with the help of Yi Lingaling. He woke up from his daze. Soul King level 50 and above, 13 years old. These two numbers kept circling in his mind. At this time, he finally understood why his uncle said to give up pride. Uncle, what kind of monsters did you teach? Yun Feng sneezed and rubbed his nose. Yun Feng, What's wrong with you? Seeing Yun Feng like this, Douluo and others immediately surrounded him, their eyes revealing concern. Yun Feng shook his head and smiled. It's okay, maybe someone is thinking about me. At this time, Tang San looked at Yun Feng, his eyes full of envy. At this time, he couldn't help but think of his father. Dad, where are you? Where have you been for so many years? Why don't you come back to see me? Don't you want me as your son? Before coming to Soto City, he went back home and left a note at home. He also told the village elder Jack that if his father came back, he should tell him where he was. Chapter 186 shocked Qin Ming. 6 years have passed, but there is no news from my father. In my previous life, I never had any relatives. In this life, I finally have a father, but he left me. Yun Feng also noticed Tang San at this time. Naturally, he was very familiar with Tang San. Seeing the change in his eyes, he knew what he was thinking. Tang San, don't think too much. I believe Uncle Hao will come back soon. Tang San nodded silently. At this time, the group finally returned to their hotel. As soon as they entered the hotel, they saw Flanders and his 3 friends sitting in the corner of the restaurant drinking and chatting. The food and wine on the table of the 3 people didn't seem to be moved much, and they were talking about something. Hey, there's wine to drink. Ma Hongjun now seemed to have forgotten the basket that didn't exist before. He was the first to walk over. He was also a direct disciple of Flanders, and he was not as restrained in front of Flanders as others. Teacher, we won today. Shouldn't you reward us? Ma Hongjun walked to Flanders and reached out to take the wine glass on the table. Flanders flipped the chopsticks in his hand and hit the fat man's hand bone. The fat man felt pain in his hand, and he quickly took his hand back with a cry. Qin Ming looked at Ma Hongjun standing next to Flanders with some doubts. Teacher, is this little brother also a student of the academy? When did our Shrek Academy have so many disciples? Ma Hongjun said carelessly. Senior Qin, you don't remember me just after we separated? Qin Ming's eyes widened and looked at the fat man carefully. You are the fat man who can spit fire in Shrek? How old are you this year? Although he had certain expectations in his heart, when he really saw Ma Hongjun's childish fat face, he couldn't help but feel his heart twitching. Qin Ming always knew that he was a genius among geniuses in the world of soul masters. Even when he was in Shrek Academy, he was also a leader, but he had also known the strength of the fat man in front of him before. The masked Shrek 7 devils gave people the feeling that they were just relatively short, but among them, Yun Feng, Daima Bai, Douluo and others have grown to adult height. As long as they don't say it, no one can guess their real age. Ma Hongjun said with some pride. Yes, I'm 13 years old. Oh, I understand. We were wearing masks before, so you couldn't recognize me, right? At this time, the other people from Shrek had also come over. Qin Ming looked at these children, most of whom were under 15 years old, and couldn't help but speak for a while. Flanders habitually laughed with a hoarse and sinister feeling. Why, Qin Ming, have you forgotten the tradition of our academy? We only accept 12-year-old students. Ma Hongjun came to the academy when he was 11 years old. Yun Feng, Tang San, Douluo, Ning Rong and Zhuzuqing all entered this year. This year is the year when we have more students. Qin Ming swallowed hard. So, most of them are only 12 or 13 years old? Flanders nodded. What about this one too? He pointed his finger directly at Yun Feng. He just heard Yun Feng's voice, and it was the same voice as the leader who defeated the royal fighting team wearing a mask. Yun Feng saw Qin Ming looking at him. He also smiled. It's me, I'm Yun Feng, also a leader. Qin Ming was completely dumbfounded, and tremblingly said, how old are you this year? What level of soul power are you? Yun Feng did not hide anything. I'm 13 this year, and my soul power is 52 level Soul King. After a while, Qin Ming smiled bitterly and said, now I know why you wear masks. You really gave me too many surprises. Even shocking. I always thought that the royal fighting team, which has good talents, is nothing in front of you. If the age is the same, even if Yun Feng didn't appear, they would have no chance of winning. Flanders didn't say anything, just smiled at the disciples in front of him. The students of Shrek Academy. It can be said that this is the greatest achievement of his life. Qin Ming is like this, And the Shrek people in front of him are also like this. Daimabai asked curiously, Senior, can I ask you what level of soul power you have now? Kinming answered subconsciously, 62. Not bad luck. Daimabai, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar looked at each other, and at the same time remembered Flanders' wise words. Shrek Academy only accepts monsters, not ordinary people. Okay, stop flattering each other, little monsters, sit down, and order what you want to eat. Today, your stingy dean generously donated money for this meal. Don't give me face, just order whatever you want. Dao Wuji looked at the proud Flanders and greeted everyone in Shrek loudly. The smile on Flanders' face suddenly became stiff, while Ma Hongjun and others cheered at the same time, immediately called the waiter, and started ordering dishes without looking at Flanders' face. Ma Hongjun was the first to grab the menu and flipped through it. The menu only had 3 pages. He raised his hand and clicked on the menu a few times, indicating that the waiter should remember these dishes. Flanders was right beside Ma Hongjun. Seeing that his apprentice ordered the cheapest dishes, he couldn't help but feel happy. Good, he is worthy of being my apprentice. He really knows how to save money for me. It's really good. However, what Ma Hongjun said next made him fall from heaven to hell immediately. Well, don't take the ones I ordered just now. Bring 1 portion of the rest on the menu. The quantity should be large. Also, bring 2 barrels of good beer. Serve the dishes quickly. Ma Hongjun didn't even give others a chance to order dishes. He directly completed this glorious task for the Shrek people. Turning his head to look at Flanders, Ma Hongjun said in a strange way, Hey, teacher, what's wrong with your face? Why is it a little blue? Did you not sleep well last night? Kinming on the side was still able to remain reserved, but Zhao Wuji had already laughed without any image. Flanders' stinginess was well known among the teachers in the academy. Kinming's expression had returned to normal by now, and he smiled and said, How can I let the dean spend money? After so many years, I'm finally back. 2 teachers, please give me a chance to thank you for your teachings. Without you, there would be no Kinming today. Dao Wuji laughed and said, Dao Ming, you are still so sensible. I originally wanted to see Flanders bleeding heavily, but now I can't see it. When Flanders heard that Kinming wanted to treat him, his face immediately became much better. He glared at Zhao Wuji and said, You feel good watching me make a fool of myself, don't you? Okay, Lao, we haven't practiced with each other for a long time. When we go back, I'll find you to practice with, so as to promote the improvement of our soul power. Chapter 187. No, I don't agree. This time it was Zhao Wuji's turn to stop laughing. He and Flanders had sparred countless times, and he was very clear about Flanders' strength. As a power-type soul master, he had no way to deal with Flanders, who belonged to the agility attack system and was also a flying soul master. What's more, Flanders' soul power was 2 levels higher than his. At their level, the difference in soul power at each level was not as subtle as it was at the current level of Zhao Wu and others. Every level difference was an absolute gap. Kinming looked at the Shrek people sitting down, and finally put his eyes on Yun Feng, with a look of regret. What a pity, if you were not from our Shrek, I would have tried every means to get you to the Royal Academy. If you join us, maybe. Kinming had just said this when a familiar voice suddenly sounded from not far away. Even if they are from Shrek Academy, you can still take them back to the Royal Academy. When everyone looked closely, they saw Yu Gang coming in from outside. He was not polite and directly squeezed a seat next to Flanders. Kinming asked tentatively, Master, what did you mean just now? Before Yu Gang could answer, Flanders was already upset. Master, are you deliberately trying to ruin my show? These children belong to Shrek, now and in the future. Can't we give them a good education in Shrek? Yu Gang certainly knew why Flanders was excited. However, he did not change because of Flanders' anxiety. He still had a stiff face and said lightly, I didn't say that they should join Tandu Royal Academy. What I meant was that I hope the 2 academies can communicate with each other. Teacher Kin, I think this should not be a big problem. If you can't make the decision, I can find the spirit hall. Yun Feng almost laughed out loud. This tiger skin was really played to perfection by Yu Gang. Kinming was stunned for a moment, looking at Yu Gang, not knowing how to answer for a moment. Flanders was also looking at Zhao Gang, thinking to himself, what exactly is this guy Zhao Gang up to? But now in front of Qin Ming, he couldn't ask. But he and Zhu Kaigo have been brothers for so many years, so naturally he believes that Zhao Gang should be a principled person, right? Qin Ming thought for a while and said, it is the luck of Tandu Academy to be able to communicate with juniors, but I'm afraid, after seeing Qin Ming like this, Zhao Gang immediately pressed him. You are afraid that these children are too outstanding and can't come back after they go to your Tandu Royal Academy, right? It's never a good feeling to be seen through. Zhao Gang looks plain, but his words are very penetrating and directly hit Qin Ming's heart. This kind of person is very scary. As long as he catches a little, he will keep forcing you. Qin Ming nodded without pretending, and said, yes. Although Tandu Royal Academy has the title of the first academy in the Tandu Empire, it has rarely produced powerful spirit masters in recent years, and its status has been declining. The leaders of the academy are eager for talented students. If the juniors go there, they may have some ideas. I'm afraid they will use all kinds of relationships to ask the juniors to stay as much as possible. Wouldn't that be digging into our Shrek Academy? But Zhou, Zhuzuking and Ning Rong all showed contempt at this time, looking at Qin Ming. They eat the salary of the emperor, but do not worry about the emperor's affairs, but instead eat the inside out. Especially Ning Rong. If it were her family, such a person would have been driven out or killed long ago. It's really disgusting. Flanders and others laughed and said, Xiaoming, you are a good kid. You are worthy of being a graduate of Shrek Academy. You know how to think about the academy. Zhao Gang, Xiaoming is not an outsider. If you have anything to say, just say it directly. Zhao Gang glanced at Flanders. I am just saying it directly, Teacher Qin. If I remember correctly, as an academy established by the royal family of Tandu Empire, Tandu Royal Academy should have 2 places for the grand event in a year. I can let these children temporarily join Tandu Royal Academy as exchange students until the grand event in a year is over. I think it will be easier for you in this way. Qin Ming was shocked. Master, are you saying that we should let the juniors represent Tandu Royal Academy to attend the event? But if that happens, Tandu Academy will definitely announce to the public that the juniors are from Tandu. Zhao Gang smiled calmly and said, there's nothing wrong with having another graduate from the academy. It's free anyway. No, I don't agree. Flanders slammed the table and stood up, staring at the master. The children belong to Shrek. Zhao Gang, don't forget that Shrek is all my hard work over the past 20 years. Zhao Gang's mood did not change because of Flanders' anger. Flander, I have a few questions for you. If you can answer them, then it doesn't matter whether the children go to Tandu or not. First, can you provide the children with a simulated training environment? Second, can you provide them with the qualification to participate in the All-Continent Soul Master Academy Elite Competition in 1 year? Third, why do you think that after entering Tandu Royal Academy, these children no longer belong to Shrek? Perhaps you can't understand why I do this, but I still want to ask you one last question. What is the significance of your establishment of Shrek Academy? Flander was speechless by the master's questions. He stared at the master, but the anger just now had gradually disappeared and gradually turned into dejection. Zhao Gang continued to press on and said, the simulated training environment can increase the speed of their soul training again. Only regular colleges can participate in the All-Continent Soul Master Academy Elite Competition after passing the preliminary round. And Shrek Academy has not been registered in any kingdom or empire because we do not have the corresponding hardware conditions. Although Shrek Academy has a bit of a bad reputation in the Soul Master world, it does not qualify us to participate. You should know what the rewards of the All-Continent Soul Master Academy Elite Competition are and how important they are to the children. Your ideal in establishing Shrek Academy was to cultivate geniuses in the Soul Master world and make the entire Soul Master world shocked by them. And the path I chose for them is to make their journey smoother as much as possible. And I haven't finished what I said just now. At this point, Zhao Gang turned to Qin Ming. Let these children join Tandu Royal Academy. I have a condition. The academy must accept all the current teachers of Shrek Academy, and let us educate these children in person, and Tandu Royal Academy must not interfere in any way. That is to say, They can gain honor for Tandu Academy, but the education is still our own. When we want to leave, Tandu Royal Academy has no right to stop us. Chapter 188, Flanders. How many more talented students are you going to harm? Flanders sat down again, picked up the big glass of beer in front of him, and drank it in big gulps. Just when he was about to say something, Yao Gang's next sentence completely made Flanders panic. So you plan to let these talented students sink with you for the promise with her? Flanders, how many more talented students do you want to harm before you realize that there is no possibility for you and her, even if I am gone? Yao Gang's loud shout completely broke Flanders' defense. Many bloodshot eyes instantly appeared in his eyes. He watched Yao Gang tremblingly pointing for a long time. In the end, he fell down weakly. He didn't dare to completely expose his temper in front of the students. He was even more afraid that after he was exposed, even his disciple Ma Hongjun would leave him. In the end, he could only sit on the chair weakly and drink. Qin Ming smiled bitterly and said to the master, "Master, you really gave me a difficult problem." Frankly speaking, from the perspective of Tandu Royal Academy, being able to let the younger students represent Tandu Royal Academy will undoubtedly bring countless honors to the academy. Your conditions are not excessive, which will make the academy famous. All the teachers are celebrities in the Soul Master world. The academy will never refuse and will provide the best remuneration. It's just that Shrek Academy is the brainchild of Dean Flanders. If you really do this, then I'm afraid in the future. Okay, do as Yao Gang said. Flanders stood up again, his face completely calm. Yao Gang is right. I shouldn't just consider my own pride. Everything should be for the good of the children. Tandu Royal Academy belongs to the royal family of the Tandu Empire. It is one of the few Soul Master Pure Lands that are not interfered with by the Spirit Hall. The children will not suffer there, and the current teachers of Shrek will also have a place to retire. All this time, I have only considered my own ideas, but everyone has always followed me. Now that we are old, it is time to find a home for everyone. Tandu Royal Academy. This name seems to be quite good. What's more, the children can get better development there, so this matter is settled. You guys discuss it. Yao Gang and Wuji represent me with full authority. I want to go alone and calm down. After speaking, Flanders turned and walked outside. Yao Wuji winked at Ma Hongjun, and the fat man immediately understood. He didn't care about the dishes of food that were being served, and hurried to chase after Flanders. At this time, he, as a disciple, could give Flanders more comfort than Yao Gang and Yao Wuji. Yao Gang also sighed in a pretentious manner at this time. Although Flanders is a little persistent, he is not an unreasonable person. I believe he can figure it out. Yao Wuji didn't care about the conflict with Yao Gang at this time, but smiled bitterly. After all, the academy has been our support for so many years, and Flanders understands the benefits of your suggestion. Even if he has decided to close the academy after these children graduate, it is still difficult for him to accept it at this time. For us, this is really a bit sudden. We have lived here for 20 years. Yao Gang nodded. He can only rely on him for this matter. Yao Wuji actually thought about it carefully. Under the gaze of everyone, he still said, perhaps for us, this is also the best destination. Tandu Royal Academy is one of the few places that is not affected by the Spirit Hall, and there are enough places. With a smile on his face, Yao Wuji's expression was much more relaxed. He was not Flanders, and he did not have Flanders' face-saving and inner persistence. The 20 years in Shrek Academy would certainly make him nostalgic, but also a little tired. Changing the environment might not be a bad thing. In this matter, the Shrek people had no say at all, except for Ma Hongjun, who went after Flanders. The remaining few people looked at each other. This sudden change made them a little confused. Flanders stood at the door of the hotel, looking up at the starry night sky, and said lightly, "What are you doing out here? Let's have dinner." Ma Hongjun no longer had the usual lewd smile on his face, and stood respectfully beside Flanders. "Teacher, don't be sad." Flanders shook his head. "I'm not sad, I just feel a little lost. For me, all this happened a little too fast." "Okay, go back, don't persuade me, I just want to be alone and quiet." Ma Hongjun blinked and rubbed his fat face. "Teacher, this is just borrowing a hen to lay eggs." Frankly speaking, I don't quite understand why you are depressed. Borrowing a hen to lay eggs? Flanders turned around and looked at his direct disciple, repeating his words with some surprise. Ma Hongjun nodded quickly. Yeah, isn't that just borrowing a hen to lay eggs? Borrowing the facilities of that royal academy to help us train, and are helping them to fight is just like paying some fees. I don't know about others, but I won't think of myself as a member of that royal academy because of this. I will always be your disciple and the Phoenix of Shrek. Flanders looked at Ma Hongjun blankly. Although the fat man's metaphor was not very good, it seemed to open a door in Flanders' mind. Borrowing a hen to lay eggs? Borrowing a hen to lay eggs? What a good way to lay eggs with a hen. It seems that I am really too persistent. What does it matter if it's earlier or later? Shrek will eventually end, but everything that has been left behind can never be changed. Dao Gang, thank you. Thank you for helping me put an end to Shrek. The next morning, everyone at Shrek Academy checked out of the hotel, ending the 1-month second phase of training. Perhaps, physically, the second phase of training is not as extreme as the first phase, but mentally it is more exhausting for everyone at Shrek. Every day, they have to face different opponents, and every day they have to work hard for victory. When facing strong enemies, they not only have to fight against their opponents, but also cooperate with their partners. Fighting spirits are completely different from their sparring with each other. That is a real battle. While enriching their actual combat experience, everyone at Shrek Academy also clearly discovered the effect of the devil training in the first phase. Of course, except for Yun Feng, Juzuking, Daowu and Ning Rongrong, because they really didn't feel how powerful it was. But to be honest, their patience, resilience and recovery in battle have all made great progress. Otherwise how could they support the high-intensity battles of fighting spirits every day, especially the few people who have to participate in 3 fighting spirits every day? They fully exert the effect of the first phase of devil training in fighting spirits. In addition to basic training and actual combat training, this second phase also contains another meaning, that is, the ability to continue fighting. Chapter 189 Ah Yin, my Ah Yin, where have you been? Back to the familiar village. Although it is not as prosperous as Soto City, it is also less noisy than the city. The feeling of home is so intimate. At least for Tang-san, Shrek Academy has long been like home. Flanders' mood has returned to normal. Even Wuji, who has been following him for the past 20 years, did not expect that he could figure it out so quickly. Flanders has made a direct decision. Everything will be done according to the master's plan. As for how to enter the Royal Academy and everything in the future, that is Qin Ming's problem. Children, go and rest. You have worked hard during this period. Wuji, call everyone. Flanders began to issue orders as soon as he returned to the academy. This Shrek Academy is not just his. There are 3 other teachers. He also needs to seek their opinions. As soon as Oscar returned to the dormitory, he didn't care about the dust accumulated on the bed in the past month, and fell directly on his bed. It's better to come back. Dao-san, don't call me. I want to have a good sleep. Sleep until I wake up naturally. Tang-san looked at Oscar's posture on the bed and couldn't help but smile and shook his head. If no one forced him to practice, his lazy personality would have probably made his excellent martial spirit go to waste. According to the discussion between Yu Gang and Qin Ming, everyone from Shrek Academy will go to Tandu Royal Academy as exchange students in 2 months. Before that, Qin Ming will deal with all the things at Tandu Royal Academy. Shrek Academy also needs to do some follow-up work. Yu Gang was not in a hurry to start the 3rd stage of the trial. Before leaving Soto City today, he assigned a very simple task to everyone from Shrek. In these 2 months, first of all, deal with your own problems, and secondly, fully digest and absorb the practical experience gained from fighting spirits in the past month. At the same time, these 2 months are also the soul power training period. Yu Gang requires that everyone must concentrate on practicing soul power except for necessary things. So tired. Ning Rong, Juzukin and Daowu all took off their coats and lay on their beds. Daowu nodded in agreement and said, yes, I didn't feel tired when I was fighting every day in Soto, but why do I feel so tired when I come back? This should be the so-called fatigue period. Wrong, Your skin is so good, even I can't help drooling. Ningrong-narong, Juzuking and Zhao were only wearing half-length bras and shorts at this time, lying on the bed with their arms and thighs exposed. I envy you, your legs are so long. Listening to the two people's mutual admiration, Juzuking did not join in. Instead, she endured her tiredness and prepared to continue practicing. But as they chatted, Juzuking found something wrong. Why did it feel like it was pulled to her body? Ningrong-narong's skin is indeed good. Among the three girls in Shrek, her tender skin like lychee is very enviable to Zhao and Juzuking. There is no flaw in her fair skin, especially the smooth and radiant feeling, which is really as charming as white jade. Although they have not fully grown, girls grow earlier than boys, and their bodies are already quite large. Of course, Juzuking is obviously the best among the three girls in terms of growth. Ningrong-narong smiled and stared at Zhao with wide eyes. You are also great. I am pure white, and you are pink and white. It seems that I am not as healthy as you. Zhao body proportions are slightly different from those of ordinary people. Her thighs are particularly long. Generally speaking, the ratio of thighs to height is about 62%, which is the most perfect golden ratio. But Zhao ratio is more than 65%, but it does not give people a sense of abruptness, but rather harmonious. The long thighs are straight and tight, and the skin is also delicate. Although not as white as Ningrong-narong, her skin has a little blush, especially the slender waist. Because her waist is so thin, it outlines a perfect arc at the hip position, and goes down along her small buttocks. Even Ningrong-narong swallowed her saliva when she saw the slender thighs exposed outside the shorts, especially the perfect figure and Zhao's scorpion braids that reach the ground, giving people a feeling of a girl next door. Of course, if she is really teased as a girl next door, the previous ending of the wretched weird uncle being unhappy will probably be repeated. Ningrong-narong lowered her voice and said, Zhao, tell me, why don't we have people as big as Zhuking here? I really envy her. While talking, Ningrong-narong gently rubbed her chest with both hands. Zhao blushed and said, you should ask her. How do I know? Is it really good if it's big? Topics in the girls' dormitory are often more heated than those in the boys' dormitory. Ningrong-narong chuckled and said, how can it be bad? When I was in the sect, I heard people say that men like women with big vaginas. Maybe we are too young. You see Yun Feng guides Zhuking every day. Maybe it's because she has a big vagina. Zhao chuckled, but envy flashed in her eyes. You know a lot. Although Zhao said so, she still looked at Ningrong-narong. She turned her head and looked at Juzuking. There was ill intention in her eyes. Hee, Zhuking, don't be afraid. We will be very gentle. As they said this, Zhao and Ningrong-narong came to Juzuking's side with their teeth and claws. Then they grabbed Juzuking's arms and touched her up and down. It was so uncomfortable. It's really big and full. Yun Feng couldn't hold back his anger when he heard this. He looked directly at the ring on his finger. Yun, come out for a moment. I have a business worth several $100 million that I want to discuss with you. After hearing this, Yun still didn't know what Yun Feng was thinking, but these days, Yun had also seen some of Yun Feng's things. In addition, she had promised Yun Feng before. After thinking of this, she also appeared faintly from the ring. Then, under Yun Feng's gaze, she took off her coat. She slowly came to Yun Feng's side and sat down, and her body directly leaned into Yun Feng's arms. Her red lips brushed the corner of Yun Feng's mouth and finally fell on Yun Feng's ear. With a hint of orchid fragrance, she whispered softly beside Yun Feng. Please have mercy. Yun Feng only felt his ears tingling, and the whole person seemed to be floating. He directly hugged Yun's waist, and with a little force, he turned over instantly, then leaned down and kissed Yun's red lips. Tang San didn't know what was going on today. He couldn't practice, and he felt suffocated. When he slept, he kept thinking about his mother whom he had never met. He was tossing and turning. He always felt that his heart was empty and very uncomfortable. Tang Hao on the other side felt the same way. But compared to his son, his heart was more painful. He just woke up from a nightmare and knelt on the ground, crying and shouting, Yun, my Yun, where have you been? Why do I miss you so much? It's all Brother Hao's fault. Come back, my heart hurts so much. Woo wah woo. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190 Promotion. During the 2 months of rest, Feng spent half of his time training with Juzuking. Then he built a soul guide. As for the other half, of course, he accompanied Zhao Wu and Ning Rong to play in various places. In short, he never had a rest. However, Feng also gained a lot in these 2 months. At least every time he went out to play, he went to the fighting arena to watch the soul masters fight, especially the team fighting. The task of listening to advice was also completed yesterday. The martial soul has now evolved to the Blue-Silver Emperor. But Feng's Blue-Silver Emperor can be disguised, but this disguise was helped by Yin. Since breaking through that relationship last time, the connection between Feng and Yin has become closer and closer. There is also a good thing in the soul guide. That is a defensive soul guide. When attacked, you can actively unfold this defense shield, and the charging is also extremely simple. This soul guide can autonomously absorb the soul power floating between heaven and earth. Recharge. Feng has tested that it can resist the attack of the Soul Emperor, but it can't last too long, only about 10 seconds. However, this appearance still has room for upgrading. It is a big improvement. Whether it is for myself or Zhao Wu, Ning Rong and Juzuking are both good choices. As for soul power, Feng is now a Soul King of level 55. The martial soul has evolved, and it has directly upgraded 3 levels in 2 months. You must know that the later the soul power is, the harder it is to improve. Even if Feng has a plug-in, this level is extremely outrageous. Even under the inquiry of others, Feng still proposed a way for Zhao Wu and others to practice quickly. That is to give them the sleep practice method, that is, to let everyone practice soul power instead of their sleep time. In addition to some necessary soul skill training and physical activities every day, the rest of the time is spent on soul power practice. Although the process is boring, it is undoubtedly of great benefit to the improvement of strength. During this period, Zhao Wu's soul power was upgraded to level 32, and the soul power of others also increased significantly. Now, the soul power levels of Shrek people are, Commander Feng, level 55 Fighting Soul King. Daima Bai, the evil-eyed white tiger, is a level 37 3-ring War Soul Master. Oscar, the sausage store, is a level 31 3-ring Weapon Soul Master. Tang San, the compound-eyed thousand-handed, is a level 33 3-ring War Soul Master. Ma Hongjun, the phoenix that rises from the fire, is a level 28 2-ring War Soul Master. Zhao Wu, the soft-bone charm rabbit, is a level 35 3-ring War Soul Master. Ning Rong, the 7 treasure glass, is a level 29 2-ring Weapon Soul Master. Juzuking, the Netherworld Spirit Cat, is a level 29 2-ring War Soul Master. Apart from Juzuking, only Zhao Wu has the biggest improvement. After all, Zhao Wu doesn't need to practice much. All she has to do is to explore the energy hidden in her body. So after being stimulated by Feng, she took the initiative to start practicing. So the improvement is not as simple as 1 + 1. As for Juzuking, it was all because of hard work. In 2 months, she has been promoted 2 levels in a row. It's incredible. Although Ning Rong is also practicing, her soul power is not as fast as that of a War Soul Master. So it's only a 1-level improvement. As for the others, they have all improved, but it's all accumulated. There is not much change. Time passed quickly, and in a blink of an eye, the 2-month rest period has passed. The Shrek Academy was bought by Flanders, and there is nothing valuable there. Several teachers did not object to Yao Gang's proposal. Seeing that the agreed time was approaching, under Flanders' order, everyone packed up and prepared to go to Tandu Royal Academy. It was a sunny day with no clouds in the sky. Standing at the entrance of the academy, Flanders looked at the plaque engraved with the word Shrek Academy, which looked a little shabby, and his heart was filled with mixed feelings. 20 years. How many 20 years can there be in a lifetime? The bits and pieces of what he had once said here kept flowing in his heart, and a sour feeling appeared at the tip of his nose. Daoji put his arm around Flanders' shoulders. "Don't look at it. Let's go. It's not like you won't come back. At worst, I will accompany you back to life in your old age." Flanders glared at him. "Am I old?" Daoji smiled bitterly. "Not old. Yes, we are only 50 years old. Not too old, but we are all weird. Not a single one of us is married." Flanders snorted. "That's because you have too high standards. It's not that easy to find a female soul master. Don't you know that female soul masters only account for 10% of all soul masters? What about you? You don't have a high standard? How come you don't have a wife?" Daoji said unconvinced. "Me? Flanders was stunned for a moment, and was speechless. When he looked up at Zhao Gang, he found that Zhao Gang was also looking at him. Both of them showed some bitterness in their eyes, and shook their heads almost at the same time. "Let's go." Flanders gathered his mood and gave the order to go. A group of more than 10 people set out to leave Shrek. Tandu City, the imperial capital of the Tandu Empire, is located in the northeast of the center of the Tandu Empire. It is the core of the political power of the entire Tandu Empire. It is also one of the 2 largest cities in the entire continent. In Buo continent, only the imperial city of Xingluo Empire can compare with it. Although the kingdoms and principalities under the 2 empires are no longer under control, the empire's foundation is still there, with Tandu City as the center. The 3 major military regions controlled by the Tandu Empire are all nearby, with a total force of over 1 million and strong strength. In a sense, the Tandu Empire has its own reasons for not forcibly restricting its subordinate kingdoms, whether it is Tandu or Xingluo. The kingdoms and principalities under the 2 empires are mostly on the borders of each other. Once a war breaks out, these kingdoms and principalities will definitely be the first to go. Of course, this is also a helpless move. Which emperor does not want to use the imperial power to control everything? But the current situation on the continent does not allow a unified situation to occur. In addition to the internal reasons of the 2 empires, the most important reason for the formation of the current situation on the continent is the secret interference of several major soul master families and the Wuhan Hall. Let me ask, how can a huge and unified empire allow these forces that affect its ruling position to survive? If the Shrek Academy group wants to reach Tandu City, they need to leave the territory of the Kingdom of Barak first, and then cross the entire territory of the Kingdom of Sylves to the north of the Kingdom of Barak before they can enter the imperial city of the Tandu Empire. Further east is the imperial city of the Tandu Empire. The entire journey is long, nearly 2,000 miles. This shows the huge land area of the Tandu Empire. Among the Shrek people, Yun Feng, Dai Mabai, Tang San, Dawu, Juzukin and Ning Rong all have soul guides for storage, and most of the teachers have similar ones, so they don't need to worry about carrying items when they are on the road. Before setting off, the purchased food and prepared clean water were all put into the soul guide. Even if there is no supply in the middle map, these food and water are enough for them for 10 days. Chapter 191 Wrong, Zukin and the others all fell asleep. Okay, little monsters, you have also rested for 2 months. From now on, speed up and everyone must keep up with my speed, otherwise, hee. Flanders seemed to have returned to his previous state, with a treacherous look in his eyes. He grabbed Yao Gang's arm with one hand, and as soon as he finished speaking, he had already jumped forward. Flanders naturally would not rush at full speed. The teachers of the academy, led by Zhao Wuji, spread their bodies and followed him on both sides. Everyone in Shrek looked at each other and ran without hesitation. They didn't care about running with weights, so why would they care about ordinary running? They didn't even need to use soul power. Even Oscar and Ning Rong could keep up with Flanders' pace at this time. Only Yun Feng rolled his eyes when he saw running. He unfolded his 4th soul skill. He flew quickly into the sky. With the blessing of soul power, he surpassed Flanders in almost an instant. He turned around and shouted directly, "Dean, your speed is not good enough. Otherwise, let me be the title of Sky Coroner." Flanders was not angry after hearing what Yun Feng said. After all, in Flanders' eyes, Yun Feng was the one who was most likely to help him realize his ideal. I'm old, I can't do it. At this time, being led by Flanders' soul power, He didn't need to spend any energy at all. He looked at Flanders and said unhappily, "Are you so temperless?" Flanders looked at Yao Gang in his hand and said with some doubts, "Why do you have a temper? If you have such a student, wouldn't you be happy?" After these words came out, Yao Gang was instantly killed. He was speechless for a long time, until finally, he looked at Flanders and asked, "Flanders, what's the point of your training for the children? Their physical foundation is already very solid now." Flanders chuckled and ignored Yao Gang and said, "Is there really no point in training? Yao Gang, there are some methods you can't use. What's more, even if there is no point in training, if you travel faster and waste less time, you can eat less meals and stay in hotels less often on the road. This should save a lot of money. Last time, we agreed to use the 3,000 gold soul coins we collected from the last game on this third stage of the trial. We should save as much as possible." You are really stingy." Yao Gang was speechless. On the contrary to Flanders, he never took money seriously. He always thought that he would make a fortune after spending all his money. Anyway, he has always been a great soul master, and the spirit hall also has subsidies. Flanders winked at Yao Gang in a treacherous way, and his feet suddenly accelerated. He rushed forward like an arrow from a bow. The one who was most familiar with Flanders was undoubtedly Zhao Wuji. He looked helplessly at Xiao Xin, the sugar bin soul master beside him, and grabbed his arm. "Flanders, this guy, if he wants to save money, he doesn't have to torment us old bones like this." The speed of the auxiliary soul master is naturally not good, so he simply took Xiao Xin to speed up. Flanders' acceleration was a bit too much for the Shrek people behind him. How could they catch up with the soul power just by running with their bodies? What's more, Flanders is a quick attack soul master, and a quick attack soul master of the soul saint level. In a hurry, the Shrek people had to speed up. In this way, Ning Rong and Oscar could no longer move forward on their own. Oscar was led by Daima Bai, and Ning Rong was led by Zhuzuking and Zhao Wu in turn. The 7 people still did not fall behind and ran forward at full speed. Of course, using soul power for a short time is nothing, but how can the soul power of the Shrek people compare with that of the teachers? The speed controlled by Flanders is the maximum speed they can reach, which is less than an hour. The spirit power of these people of Shrek has been almost exhausted. Flanders saw that they could not catch up, so he slowed down and walked at a normal speed, giving the other people of Shrek time to eat sausages to recover. Of course, Flanders and his people would not eat Oscar's sausages. The effect of a few sugar bins is much better than that of sausages. After all, the level of Xiao Xin, the sugar bin soul master, is far from what Oscar can compare with now. Using this method to travel, after a day, the Shrek 7 devils were tired as if they had gone through Yao Gang's devil training again. But in this day, they also ran about 400 kilometers, completed 1/5 of the whole journey. Fortunately, Flanders was not as stingy as he said, and did not let everyone sleep in the wild, but settled down in a small town. The so-called town is actually a relatively large village. The Shrek Academy people stayed in the only hotel. Although it was a bit simple, it was barely clean. Flanders gave full play to his stingy talent and only asked for 3 rooms in total. The teachers slept in one room, the male students in one room, and the female students in another room. However, because of Yun Feng, they were all assigned a room. However, this all referred to the 3 girls and Yun Feng himself. After all, the others had said number. "I'm so tired." Oscar lay directly on the bed, breathing heavily, looking very happy. Everyone had been traveling for a day and finally had a chance to rest. No one cared whether the place was simple or not. Daima Bai said unhappily, "Why are you tired? Most of your weight is on me." "Okay," Oscar said, "but I also have to make big sausages and mushroom sausages for you. If it weren't for my mushroom sausages, would we be able to keep up with the last part? My soul power consumption has always been no less than yours, and soul power consumption will also cause fatigue." Ma Hongjun curled his lips and said, "Don't complain, I'm the most unlucky one. I am the heaviest and not fast. I really hope to have the ability to fly soon. By then, traveling will no longer be a problem." Seeing this, Tang San acted like a kind person and said, "Don't complain, take a rest quickly. Who knows if our dean will come again tomorrow." At the same time, Daowu took advantage of the fact that Zhu Zuqing and Ning Rong were resting and didn't notice her, and quickly came to Yun Feng's room. Yun Feng looked at Daowu's appearance at this time and subconsciously asked, "Daowu, what's wrong?" Looking at Daowu, who also looked tired, Yun Feng couldn't help but feel distressed. Daowu pouted like a spoiled child. "After a day of traveling, my legs are sore. Yun Feng, can you rub my legs for me?" During the devilish training, whenever Daowu felt tired, Yun Feng would rub her legs, and then use his unique skills to take advantage of her. "Okay, here." Yun Feng rubbed Daowu's head lovingly. "Well, let's do it here." Rong and Zhuqing are all asleep. Chapter 192. Just be my girlfriend. As she spoke, Daowu raised her right leg, fully demonstrating her flexibility, and placed her slender calf directly on Yun Feng's shoulder. Yun Feng raised his hands, pinched her ankle with one hand, and gently rubbed her calf muscles with the other hand. The heat of the soul power penetrated her skin, and Daowu immediately closed her eyes comfortably, with a little blush on her face. While helping Daowu to rub her calf, Yun Feng said to her, "If you still have to rush like this tomorrow, I will take you with me. I can fly without feeling anything." Daowu giggled and said, "No, I can do it. In fact, it's good to be a little tired. I also have a reason to let you rub my legs. It's really comfortable." "Yun Feng, why are your palms so hot?" Yun Feng smiled, without explaining anything, but gently bent Daowu's feet to help her relax. "How does it feel like this?" "Very comfortable. It seems that my feet are not so sore anymore." Even through the white stockings, the heat from Yun Feng's palms can still be transmitted to her feet, just like soaking in hot spring water. The soothing feeling makes Daowu's comfortable eyes blurry. "Okay, change the other leg." Daowu looked at Yun Feng, her eyes somewhat frozen. "Yun Feng, if we can always be like this in the future, will you not want me anymore if you have a daughter in the future?" "What kind of green tea speech is this?" Yun Feng smiled slightly and said, "Sister Daowu, when did you become so unconfident? If it doesn't work, you can just be my girlfriend." As for the relationship between men and women, he played it very clearly, not taking the initiative, not refusing, but being responsible. Sure enough, after Yun Feng finished speaking, Daowu chuckled and said, "How about, when we grow up, I will marry you, okay? That way, I can be with you for the rest of my life." Yun Feng's eyes flashed with a sly look and said, "Okay, but you are so beautiful, don't say anything like you are not happy when the time comes." Daowu looked at Yun Feng's face, not knowing who took advantage, but she still snorted and said, "I am serious." Yun Feng nodded and said, "Of course I know you are serious, and I am serious too, Daowu." As he spoke, Yun Feng's head slowly moved closer to Daowu's body. Daowu also felt a little shy at this time, and then she retracted her long legs and walked behind Yun Feng. She gently pinched his shoulders with both hands. Although Daowu's technique was a little awkward, it still made Yun Feng feel very comfortable, especially the faint warmth, which gently touched the softness deep in Yun Feng's heart. "Okay, you should go to bed early, as we have to travel tomorrow." It's not that Yun Feng didn't want to keep Daowu, but he had just finished playing games with Yin. Daowu couldn't eat for the time being. It would be better to continue the new journey with the elder sister. "Okay." Daowu agreed and went back to her room. Her heartbeat accelerated a little, but there was a bit of hesitation and deep light in her eyes. There was no conversation that night, and the next morning, everyone continued on their journey. At this time, they had left the kingdom of Barak and entered the territory of the kingdom of Sils. Fortunately, Flanders didn't mention it again today, but led the group to the northeast at a normal pace. That day, they came all the way to the capital of the kingdom of Sils, Silv City, located in the south of the border. Flanders chose this big city as a place to stay, which was unprecedented. And when they entered the city, the sky had just darkened. "Flanders, have you changed your personality?" Wendine Flanders took everyone to stay in a very expensive hotel. Even Yu Gang, who never cared about money, couldn't help but feel strange. Moreover, this time, Flanders actually opened 5 rooms so that everyone could stay more comfortably. Even the dinner was more sumptuous than never before. Whether it was Yu Gang or Daowuji and other teachers, they were all very puzzled by Flanders' behavior. How could he, who had always been stingy, suddenly become so generous. At dinner, Flanders finally showed his true colors. Flanders smiled, picked up the wine glass in front of him, and said, "After 2 days of traveling, everyone has worked hard. Today, I will treat everyone to a good meal, but each little monster can only drink 1 glass of wine." As he said that, he took the lead in pouring the wine into his stomach, and treated everyone to the dishes with great enthusiasm. Oscar whispered in Dimebai's ear, compared to his smile, "I would rather see Ardene's serious look. I don't know why. Every time he smiles, I feel his smile is so cunning." "Just wait and see. Ardene spent so much money today. There must be something wrong." Sure enough, after 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, Flanders wiped his mouth and said gently to the Shrek people, "You haven't had actual combat for 2 months. There is also a large fighting soul field in this Silv city. You can go and have some activities tonight. Well, you don't have to participate in all the fighting souls. In order not to affect the journey tomorrow, just participate in the group fighting soul." Dimebai looked at Flanders with a smile, and said, "Dean, should we also hand over the rewards we got from this actual combat to the academy?" Flanders said righteously, "Although the academy has been closed, as your dean, do you think I will take advantage of you? All the income will be distributed by you, and it has nothing to do with us." "Mubai, do you actually suspect that I have a purpose?" This time it was Dimebai's turn to be stunned. He originally thought that Flanders wanted them to participate in the group fighting soul and get the rewards and hand them in. In this way, at their current level, each person can get at least 100 gold soul coins for a group fighting soul. Added up, it is also a considerable number. Unexpectedly, Flanders criticized him righteously. Could it be that the dean has really changed his personality? Or Ma Hongjun knows his teacher best? And he gestured to Dimebai on the other side. Dimebai suddenly realized it. Ma Hongjun's lip gesture means only 2 words: gambling. Yes, under the same level, there are only a few teams that can defeat Shrek Academy. And in such a small place, how can there be an opponent? As long as you bet heavily during their team battle, then there will naturally be a considerable profit. This is Flanders' real calculation. "Okay, let's go." Flanders happily paid the bill, asked about the location of the Silv's Great Fighting Spirit Arena, and led everyone out of the hotel. The Silv's Great Fighting Spirit Arena looks more magnificent than the Soto Great Fighting Spirit Arena. After all, this is the capital of the Silv's kingdom, and it is 1 level higher than Soto. Wearing the familiar mask, the Shrek people set out again. However, when Flanders signed up for the team battle for the Shrek 7 Devils, he was dumbfounded. Chapter 193. But, is this okay? The staff of the Silv's Grand Soul Arena carefully checked the fighting spirit badges of the Shrek 7 Devils, and looked at the 7 masked soul masters in front of them in disbelief, and said with some difficulty, "I'm sorry, dear soul masters, I'm afraid you can't participate in tonight's group fighting spirit." The Shrek 7 Devils didn't care, but Flanders was anxious. Feng even laughed directly. "You know, Flanders has spent a lot of money after entering Silv's city, hoping to make a fortune here. Why, is there no one in the Silv's Grand Soul Arena?" Flanders said angrily. Although Flanders' words were a bit arrogant, the staff did not refute at all. The Gold Fighting Spirit team of the first tier of level 30 is indeed qualified to be arrogant. He has worked in the Grand Soul Arena for more than 20 years. And this is the first time he has seen such a weird fighting spirit team appear. "I'm sorry, dear sir, our Silv's Grand Soul Arena does not have a level 30 gold fighting spirit team that can have a fair fighting spirit," the staff said embarrassedly. Flanders even said shamelessly, "The Silver Fighting Soul team is also okay. Didn't you see that there is only 1 spirit master who has just reached the title of Gold Fighting Soul?" The staff shook their heads and said, "This is definitely not possible. First of all, we only have 1 Silver Fighting Soul team of level 30 here, and it is obviously unfair to let them fight. I believe you also understand the rules of the Great Fighting Soul Arena. The team level is calculated according to the highest level spirit master in the team." Dao Wuji on the side smiled with some gloating. It seems that someone's calculation is going to fail. The 3 older spirit masters Lu Kaiban, Liu Song and Xiao Zhen standing next to Zhao Wuji couldn't help laughing. They and Flanders were not subordinate to each other. They were good friends before the establishment of Shrek Academy. Seeing Flanders being defeated was obviously a very happy thing for them. Flanders asked unwillingly, "Is there no other way?" The staff thought for a while and said, "It's not that there is no other way. If you decide to participate in the hunt by jumping levels, I can naturally arrange it. Jumping levels will no longer be restricted by the level of the Dun badge. That is to say, you can challenge the lowest level 40 Dun team. Here, the level 40 is almost all silver Dun teams, and there are also several gold Dun teams. You can choose any one." Level 40? Flanders was stunned for a moment, and then he shook his head firmly. "Forget it then. As the saying goes, a gentleman loves money and gets it in a proper way." Flanders still understands this truth. Moreover, the Shrek 7 Devils are okay at the same level, but he has no hope of jumping levels. At least when facing the royal team before, he didn't dare to go up, not to mention now. And the most important thing is that although on the hunt stage, generally speaking, he will not kill the opponent, but he will never let his disciples take risks for his own interests. After all, they are his hope. There is nothing wrong in earning some extra money when you are sure to win, and there is no danger. But Flanders would never seek profit from the Shrek 7 Devils adventure. Although he was stingy, he still had principles. He thought he was much better than Yao Gang in this respect. And just when he was thinking this, Yao Gang's stiff voice suddenly sounded. He walked slowly to Flanders' side. "No, I think it's okay." Flanders frowned. "Yao Gang, are you kidding? How can this be possible? You know the difference of one spirit ring. Do you want the children to die? Don't forget that 3 of them are not even level 30. Facing a team of level 40 spirit masters, they have no chance." Yao Gang wanted to prove himself now, so he shook his head and said, "Of course I won't let the children take risks." Flanders, there are many differences between the level 40 fighting spirit teams. As he said that, Yao Gang didn't care about Flanders' emotions at all, and turned to the staff. "Just now you said that you can let us choose our opponents at will. Is that okay?" The staff nodded quickly. "Of course, no problem, and I can guarantee that this group fight will be held in the main fighting spirit arena in the center. The situation of over-level challenge rarely occurs in the big fighting spirit arena, especially in the team fight. If it is a one-on-one situation, one side's martial spirit is particularly outstanding, and there may be a chance to defeat the opponent with a difference of 1 spirit ring. But the team fight is the collective strength. If the whole group is 1 spirit ring weaker than the opponent, how can the team fight? Therefore, the situation of over-level challenge and team fight almost never occurs, and there are not many successful examples in the history of the whole big fighting spirit arena. And the over-level challenge is undoubtedly a fighting spirit that attracts the audience's attention. It is easier to make the audience excited. As long as the news goes out, the main fighting spirit arena in the center can be expected to be full. How can the fighting spirit arena refuse such a good thing? Yao Gang continued. "Do you have a particularly brutal team among the level 40 teams here? It is best to be the kind that has killed and injured the opponent every time. The higher the killing ratio, the better." The staff looked at Yao Gang in surprise, thinking to themselves, is this person asking their team to commit suicide? Originally, he thought Yao Gang would choose a team of the weakest level 40, but he never expected that he would say such a thing. Flanders grabbed Yao Gang's shoulders, suppressed his anger, and growled. "Yao Gang, are you crazy? You want the kids to die?" In order to prove himself, Yao Gang would not do anything rash, so he smiled calmly. "Flanders, do you think I will let Zhao-san die? Don't worry. I have my own intentions." Flanders was stunned for a moment. Yes, no matter how eager Yao Gang was for quick success, he would never let the kids die, especially Tang San was his only disciple. From the love that Yao Gang usually showed for him, Flanders could see that he treated Tang San as his own child. How could he let him take risks? Yao Gang took advantage of Flanders' sluggishness and asked the staff again, "Is there such a team?" Yes. There is. The staff finally reacted. The Fierce God team, a level 40 silver fighting soul team, has won 31 out of 46 matches since entering the silver fighting soul level, killed 63 opponents in total, and injured 98 opponents. They are called the killers of the Silver Fighting Soul Team. Most Silver Fighting Soul teams don't want to meet them because their fighting style is too fierce. Yu Gang nodded with satisfaction when he heard this. Okay, then we will challenge this fierce god team. Our team is called the Shrek 7 Devils, with a total of 7 players. There is no way. Yun Feng's level is too high, master. Seeing that Yu Gang was serious, the 4 teachers also hurried over to stop him. Yu Gang shook his head at them and said something in a low voice. Only then did everyone suddenly realize and the worries on their faces disappeared. Flanders hesitated and said, "But, is this okay?" Chapter 194 Tang San, why are you so stingy? Yu Gang said calmly, Flender, this is also a kind of experience. One day they will have to face such a situation. Do you think it is better for them to have us around to guide them when they face such a situation, or let them bear it themselves? Flender's eyes collided with Yu Gang in the air, and it seemed that a few sparks were struck. In the end, it was still him who compromised. He nodded and said, "Okay, I hope you are right." Under the gaze of everyone, Yu Gang pretended to smile calmly and said, "This is the best way to test their psychological quality, and it is also something they will experience sooner or later." Flender looked at the other teachers and said, "Let's vote." Those who support the master's decision raise their hands. The minority obeys the majority. As he spoke, Flender raised his hand first. After hesitating for a moment, several teachers also expressed their agreement one after another. Yu Gang then turned to the staff. "Please help us arrange it." "Okay, please wait." The cross-level challenge of the group fighting spirit is a big deal in any large fighting spirit field, and it is not something that an ordinary staff member like him can decide. After a while, the staff member called the responsible supervisor to settle the matter. Oscar whispered, "Master, are you sure? Let us challenge a level 40 team." Although our martial spirits and spirit rings are good, the gap in levels and spirit rings is too big, and it is impossible to win. And it is the most ferocious level 40 team. Daima Bai pretended to be cool and said coldly, "Level 40, so what? We may not be unable to win. Not to mention that we can get 10 times the points by challenging a higher level. If we win, everyone can increase 1,000 points. This is a shortcut," Ma Hongjun said sarcastically. "Boss Dai, you are level 38 after all. You are obviously talking without any pain. I am only level 28, 2 spirit rings away from level 40. How can I fight such a fighting spirit?" "Tang San, what do you think?" Tang San frowned and shook his head. He was also thinking about Yu Gang's intention. He understood that his teacher would never do it without a purpose. Since the teacher did this, he must have his purpose. But what is the purpose? He knew that although he had a compound eye attached to his soul bone, which was a heaven-defying existence among the same level, it was impossible to make up for the overall gap between the Shrek 7 Devils and the level 40 team. After all, except for Daima Bai, the soul power gap between the others and the opponents was too big, especially the gap in soul rings. It was almost impossible to win. Soon, Yu Gang finished the formalities, and the staff of the Sylph's Grand Soul Fighting Arena immediately went to promote it. At this time, the soul fighting had not started yet, and as the last group soul fighting, there was still more than an hour to go. How to make good use of this time to do a good job of publicity to attract high-level audiences and open gambling, for the Grand Soul Fighting Arena, are things that must be done well. They will not miss any good opportunity to make money. In order to show their importance to Shrek and his party, the Grand Soul Fighting Arena especially found a separate quiet room for them to rest and wait for the start of this cross-level challenge. After entering the room, the Shrek people who have participated in many soul fightings and have rich experience are ready to start meditating so that their soul power can be kept in the best condition. But Yu Gang stopped them. "No need to meditate, I have something to say to you." The Shrek 7 Devils looked at the master in confusion, and even Tang San was no exception. Yu Gang said lightly, "Are you all very surprised? Why I made such a decision to let you participate in such a dangerous fighting spirit?" The Shrek people who were going to participate in the competition looked at each other and nodded. Yu Gang also began to make up for it at this time. "Based on your strength, you may not be able to defeat a level 40 opponent. The reason why I decided this is to help Flanders. At the same time, it is also to let you test the weapons on your body. In this group fighting spirit, I allow you to use the hidden weapons made by Tang-san. As for how to use them, Tang-san, you are most familiar with your hidden weapons, so you can mobilize them. This is the weapon Tang-san made before. Originally, he didn't want to give it to others, but was blocked by Zhao Wu's words. Tang-san, why are you so stingy? Then Tang-san distributed the hidden weapons he made to everyone in a gloomy manner. But when he distributed them, he also secretly mentioned Yun Feng. After all, Yun Feng could also make them. It's just not a hidden weapon, but a weapon with even more outrageous power, although he didn't know what it was. After all, Yun Feng had never been exposed. But Yun Feng's words made Tang-san speechless. My difficulty is too high, and my ability is limited. I can't do too much. Zhao Wu glared at Tang-san directly. She looked like if Yun Feng was exhausted, she and he would be anxious. Tang-san was instantly uncomfortable. However, Yu Zhaogang's words at this time immediately dispelled all the doubts in the hearts of the Shrek Seven Devils. Perhaps, their strength was not as good as their opponents, but they had already tested the hidden weapons Tang-san gave them, especially the extremely domineering's huge divine crossbow. Tang-san hesitated for a moment. But, teacher, in this case, Yu Zhaogang interrupted Tang-san. I chose a brutal team. You don't need to have any psychological burden. Remember, your opponents are stronger than you. If you want to defeat them, you must take them by surprise and can't give them any chance to turn over. Zhao-san, do you understand? Although Tang-san didn't know why the master did this, he chose to believe his teacher after all and nodded. Teacher, I understand. Yu Zhaogang smiled with satisfaction and said, well, now you can arrange the fighting method. Meng Li has been in a bad mood recently. As the captain of the Fierce God team, it is no wonder that he is in a bad mood. The Fierce God team has not participated in the group battle for more than half a month. The reason is very simple. They have been collectively boycotted by all the silver fighting teams at level 40, and no team is willing to fight with them. Since its establishment, the Fierce God team has fully promoted the Mad Dog tactics. Meng Li has always advocated that the strong are afraid of the fierce, and the fierce are afraid of the desperate. In the previous group battles, no matter what kind of opponent they encountered, the Fierce God team led by him would desperately attack the opponent's weapon. Even if they lost, they would cause the opponent to be disabled or even die. Over time, whenever the Fierce God team participated in the group battle, the opponent would be overwhelmed in momentum. Even if they were stronger than them, it was difficult to defeat them. However, recently, the Fierce God team has encountered troubles. Because of their overly fierce style, all Silver Soul fighting teams refuse to fight with them. It is not easy to train Soul Masters, who wants their partners to die on the soul fighting stage. Occasional accidents are hard to avoid, but if you fight with the Fierce God team, death is not an accident, but an inevitability. In this case, boycotting the Fierce God team has become the consensus of the 40-level Silver Soul fighting team. Chapter 195 I buy 50,000. Meng Li was already thinking about leaving Silver City and going to another big fighting spirit arena. After all, there is no income without fighting. His team, whether it is the team members or himself, all live a luxurious life with the bonus of the big fighting spirit arena. He himself does not want to be restricted, so he has not joined any forces. However, just half an hour ago, Meng Li suddenly received news from the big fighting spirit arena that a team was going to challenge them, and it was a challenge of higher level. This news made Meng Li overjoyed, not to mention that he was not a cautious person. Even a cautious Soul Master would never think that a level 30 team could defeat a level 40 team. If it were not for the fact that Soul Masters with fighting spirit badges were not allowed to bet in the big fighting spirit arena, he would definitely bet heavily on himself. Meng Li has summoned all his team members to rush to the big fighting spirit arena as soon as possible to get the first income in half a month. In addition to income, there is also venting. Killing people, especially killing Soul Masters, is a kind of catharsis and enjoyment for him and his crazy dog-like team members. If they had not been living in the sphere of influence of the great soul fighting arena, they would have been killed countless times by more powerful soul masters. Meng Li's motto is to grow up through killing. He is 30 years old this year, and he has even thought of the title of his future titled Douluo, which is called the Fierce God. Of course, he also has some self-knowledge. It is almost impossible to become a titled Douluo in this life, unless there is a special opportunity, such as obtaining an excellent soul bone or a 10,000-year soul ring to change the physique. The Sylph's Great Soul Fighting Arena, the central main soul fighting area. Today, it is particularly lively here. Although the news was only spread an hour ago, the emergence of a cross-level challenge has attracted the curiosity of a large number of high-level audiences. In particular, the target of this cross-level challenge is the Fierce God team, which is known for its brutality. The special betting place in the Great Soul Fighting Arena has opened. The soul power levels of both sides are clear at a glance. The opening odds are naturally very different. The Fierce God team is only 1-1, while the Shrek 7 Devils team is as high as 1-10. Of course, the Great Soul Fighting Arena will never suffer a loss. Losers are naturally not to be mentioned, and winners have to pay a 10% handling fee according to the proportion. This is also an important reason why the Great Soul Fighting Arena often organizes some exciting soul fighting competitions. The higher the bet, the greater the proportion of their commission. This has long been the main source of income for any Great Soul Fighting Arena on the mainland, even higher than the ticket. Soon, the odds changed again. Because there were too many bets on the Fierce God team, the odds fell again. The Shrek team has increased to 17-1. And the odds are still rising. The betting is divided into two sides. The betting point of the Fierce God team is full of long queues. The audience is afraid that they will not be able to bet in time before the soul fighting begins, while the betting point on the Shrek 7 Devils is deserted. Except for some speculative bettors, almost no one pays attention. At this moment, a sudden voice woke the staff of the Shrek 7 Devils team betting point from their drowsiness. "I'm betting 30,000 gold soul coins on the Shrek 7 Devils." "What did you say? How much?" The staff member was stunned for a moment and hurriedly asked. Flanders frowned. "I said I'm betting 30,000 gold soul coins, and the Shrek 7 Devils win. Isn't that okay?" Yun Feng also smiled and said at the side, "I'm betting 50,000. The staff swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Although the Sylph's Great Soul Arena is the largest soul arena in the Sylph's Kingdom, betting up to 80,000 gold soul coins is still very rare. Flanders' 30,000 gold coins are naturally not all his own, and they also include the private money of the Shrek 7 Devils, Yu Gang, and several other teachers. And Yun Feng's joining instantly reduced the odds a lot. This made Flanders feel extremely distressed. But there was no way. After all, it was impossible to stop Yun Feng from buying. And if they wanted to win later, Yun Feng would have to cover the bottom. On the other side, the audience queuing to bet on the Fierce God team had already laughed a lot, and looked at Flanders and Yun Feng as if they were idiots. "Are you sure?" the staff asked again. Flanders' face remained unchanged. "I'm sure." "Swipe the card." As he spoke, he took out several gold coin storage cards and made his own bets. Yun Feng also took out a black card. When Yun Feng took out the black card, the staff's attitude was obviously much better. Some people who were watching the joke were silent in an instant. Flanders naturally noticed this scene, so he pretended to talk to Yun Feng. When they saw this, these people naturally didn't dare to continue to mock. After doing this, they left directly. At this time, he was actually trying not to laugh as much as possible. He didn't want to cause someone to follow suit and lower the odds because of his own reasons. There is already a Yun Feng. If there are more people, then he still wants to play. Of course, his idea is completely a worrying behavior. At this time, who would be optimistic about the Shrek 7 Devils team? There are many ways to make money in the Great Fighting Soul Arena, but there is one thing that convinces everyone, that is, its fairness and justice. Otherwise, there would not be so many spectators in the Great Fighting Soul Arena everywhere. The difference in fighting spirit levels is really huge. On the Shrek 7 Devils side, there are only 4 people above level 30, except for one who has reached level 38. The remaining team members are only level 33 at most, and there are even 3 spirit masters in their 20s. On the other hand, The Fierce God team has all silver fighting spirits above level 40. Although their levels are not too high in the level 40 category, with an average of only level 43, they have a huge advantage over the Shrek 7 Devils. With an average of 1.5 spirit rings, plus the advantage of spirit power and the crazy fighting style of the Fierce God team, who would be optimistic about the Shrek 7 Devils at this time? Flanders also took advantage of the loophole of the Great Fighting Spirit Arena. Although the participating Spirit Masters cannot place bets directly, it is naturally impossible to find out that he placed bets on the Great Fighting Spirit Arena on behalf of the Shrek 7 Devils. Just as Flanders was about to turn around and leave, he suddenly saw a fat businessman-like man walking quickly, as if he was afraid of letting go of something. He handed over a gold soul coin stored value card and breathlessly said to the betting staff, "Here, bet 10,000 gold soul coins on the Shrek 7 Devils." The staff thought to themselves, strange things happen every year, but this year there are more. There are so many people who come to give money in a soul fight that is clearly decided. With the previous experience of Flanders and Yun Feng, he did not ask any more questions and quickly went through the formalities. This time it was Flanders' turn to be surprised, and he asked the fat man, "This man, you are not mistaken. The soul power and soul rings of the Shrek 7 Devils are so different from those of the other party, and you are still betting on them?" Chapter 196 Silence is Cambridge tonight. The fat man chuckled and said in a low voice, "You don't know this. I am a businessman, traveling back and forth between the kingdom of Barak and the kingdom of Sylves to do business. Not long ago, I was in the Soto city of the kingdom of Barak, and I happened to see a very exciting group battle soul, one of the protagonists of which was the Shrek 7 Devils team. Don't underestimate them just because their martial spirits are low. Brother, if you believe in me, bet with me, and you will definitely make money." "I see. Well, I believe you." Although Flanders said this, he felt a little funny in his heart. He didn't expect to meet supporters of the little monsters in Sylves. However, his support seems too blind. If there is no special reason, how can the little monsters, no matter how excellent their martial spirits are, cross so many levels to defeat their opponents? Although 40,000 gold soul coins were bet on this side, the odds did not decrease at all, but instead showed a trend of continuing to rise. In order to balance the odds on both sides, the Great Soul Arena had to reduce the odds of the Fierce God team winning to 1:0.7. Despite this, there was still no trend of betting. When Flanders walked back to the Great Soul Arena calmly, the Shrek 7 Devils had already prepared for the group soul battle, and the betting points outside also stopped accepting bets. As time went by, the last group soul battle of the day at the Sylves Great Soul Arena, which was also a cross-level challenge, was about to begin. Yu Gang habitually sent the Shrek 7 Devils to the entrance of the soul fighting team on the side of the main soul fighting arena, and finally reminded, "Remember, your opponents are all cruel people, there is no need to hold back. Use the fastest speed to deal with them, understand? If there is an unexpected change, jump off the soul fighting stage immediately, and it is better to admit defeat than to suffer the slightest injury." Yu Gang said this while looking at Tang San. Tang San naturally understood Yu Gang's concern, so he nodded directly to Yu Gang and said, "Teacher, don't worry, with Yun Feng here, we won't lose." Unconsciously, Tang San himself didn't realize that relying on Yun Feng had become a habit for them. Led by the staff, a group of 7 people took big steps and walked towards the main fighting arena. Since this time was not an invitation to the grand fighting arena, there was no preferential treatment for the team leader to enter the venue and watch the battle at the entrance during the last fight at the Soto Grand Fighting Arena. Yu Gang could only leave quickly and join Flanders and others to watch this fight on the viewing platform. In fact, the reason why Yu Gang dared to let the Shrek 7 Devils take on this challenge was that fame was only one step, and he had made simple calculations before the game. Tang San had never concealed any of his hidden weapons from Yu Gang, and Yu Gang had already calculated how much threat his various hidden weapons could bring to soul masters of what level. Of course, this was what Tang San said himself. Therefore, for this group fighting soul, Yu Gang believes that as long as there is no extremely special accident, there will be no problem. Sometimes, Strength does not represent victory. The central main fighting soul field of the Sylph's Great Fighting Soul Field is no different from the Soto Great Fighting Soul Field, except that the scale is larger, but the architectural style of all the surroundings is exactly the same. This shows that the Great Fighting Soul Field is a complete system. Perhaps because Tang San and his opponents were too brutal, the host flew into the air when announcing the entry of both parties. Unfortunately, this host is not as pleasing to the eye as the beautiful woman in the Soto Great Fighting Soul Field, but a handsome young man. The Shrek 7 Devils saw their opponents at a glance. Although the battle has not yet begun, the fierce aura of the opponent has already rushed towards them. The Shrek 7 Devils do not know how many people there are in the Fierce God team, but the 7 who came on the field are obviously the strongest 7 of the opponent, and they are also the 7 people shown in the information they obtained before. The captain, the violent giant bear soul master Mengli. The other 6 are also all fighting soul masters. This fierce team is actually a team composed entirely of strong attacking spirit masters. This is also an important reason why their attack power is so amazing. As a strong attacking team, their advantages and disadvantages are extremely obvious. The advantage is naturally the extremely strong attack power that bursts instantly. As for the disadvantages, it is even simpler. Because there are no auxiliary spirit masters, control spirit masters and agile attack spirit masters, their sustained combat ability is much worse. The 7 people of the Fierce God team all look like men around 30 years old. They are tall and strong, with bloodthirsty light in their eyes. While walking towards the center of the fighting spirit arena, they clenched their fists, and their bones made a crackling sound that made people's teeth ache. If we only talk about momentum, this team in front of us can be said to be the strongest one that the Shrek 7 Devils have encountered. The bloody smell of the 7 people of the Fierce God team is definitely not comparable to the Royal Fighting Team. This is the smell that can only be produced in constant killing. Looking at the bloodthirsty light in their eyes, it seems that you can smell the blood on them. Due to the special combination, the formation of the Fierce God team is also very different from other teams. The 7 people lined up in a dense formation. With the host's preparation, they released their martial spirits at the same time. Because they were all strong attacking spirit masters, the bodies of these 7 brutal beast spirits swelled as their spirits were released. For a moment, it seemed that a bloody mouth that could swallow everything had risen on them. The Fierce God team was able to get so many spirit masters to unite and suppress it, so how could it be in vain? Perhaps it was because they felt the brutal aura of the Fierce God team that the audience hidden in the VIP stands began to burst into cheers, which were transmitted into the field through the special loudspeakers. Tear them apart, kill them. Countless shouts made the brutality of the Fierce God team even more arrogant. In the warm atmosphere, the audience did not notice that the Shrek 7 Devils, who were fully equipped with spirit masters of various departments, also formed a strange formation. Like the Fierce God team on the opposite side, they lined up in a row and released their martial spirits at the same time. Oscar lowered his voice and asked Daima Bai, "Boss Dai, if they really rush over, with the help of Ning Rong-Arong's spirit skills, can you stop them?" Daima Bai answered almost without hesitation, "No." Do you have so little confidence in Zhao San's treasure? Although it is much worse than Yun Feng's, it is still no problem to deal with ordinary people. Zhao Wu said bluntly. Tang San, silence is the bridge tonight. Oscar laughed and said, "It's not that I don't have confidence, it's just that I'm afraid of the worst. Think about me, a good young man, handsome, suave, elegant." "Okay, everyone get ready." Tang San's voice interrupted Oscar's words in time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197. Are we letting them die? The Shrek 7 Devils flipped their wrists at the same time, and each of them took out a black box about 2 feet long and looked inconspicuous from their soul guides or arms. One end of the black box was quietly facing their opponents. Perhaps it was because the evil god team had done too many evil things, and the shouts from all around made them more ferocious. One by one, they were roaring to the sky, beating their chests, and showing their soul rings to the audience. They didn't pay attention to the small movements of the Shrek Seven Devils' hands. The use of weapons is not prohibited in the Great Soul Fighting Arena, but generally speaking, weapons are just a burden to soul masters, and few people use them. Yao Gang, Flanders and others were all in a VIP room watching the changes outside. Flanders' martial spirit was cat-owl. Although he wore glasses, his eyesight was actually the best, and he saw all the small movements of Tang San and others taking out this huge divine crossbow. Flanders was somewhat worried about the soul battle, and couldn't help asking Yao Gang beside him, "Yao Gang, can Tang San's hidden weapon really kill these level 40 soul masters?" Those are all strong attack type soul masters, and their defensive capabilities are second only to the defensive type among all soul masters. Their soul skills can't block Tang San's hidden weapon. Yun Feng took over the conversation directly at this time, and said lightly, "It can be blocked." "What did you say?" Flanders suddenly widened his eyes and looked at Yun Feng. Even with his calmness, he couldn't help but reveal a look of panic. Yun Feng smiled, then took out Tang San's huge divine crossbow and said, "Tang San also gave me this huge divine crossbow for self-defense. I have carefully studied its attack power. Generally speaking, the first two soul skills of a strong attacking soul master cannot block its attack from the perspective of defensive strength, but as long as it is the third soul skill or above, it can basically resolve it. If it is the fourth soul skill, there will be no problem." Yao Gang, hearing Yun Feng's words, Flanders was directly angry. You let them fight souls? Are you asking them to die?" Flanders' voice was obviously too high, and as his anger burst out, his soul power operated on its own, and the whole room trembled at his voice. Yao Gang glanced at Flanders, not moved at all, and still said in his special voice, "So what if they can block it? That doesn't affect Tang San and his team's victory." Originally, I thought Tang San and his team might have to use all their hidden weapons to win. But now it seems that it is not necessary. Tang San told me that the key to hidden weapons is the word hidden. Do you think Tang San and his opponents can know how powerful the hidden weapons in their hands are? If it were you, when facing an opponent who is obviously weaker than you, would you immediately use the third or fourth soul skill that consumes a lot of soul power? Of course, this kind of combat mode cannot be replicated, but don't forget, this is also the first time that Tang San's hidden weapon has appeared in the Great Soul Fighting Arena. When only using the first or second soul skill, a Soul King with a soul power of only level 50 will not be able to block this huge divine crossbow in their hands, even if it is over level 50. If you are careless, you will probably suffer. Listening to the words about the effect, Flanders' emotions gradually calmed down, but his heart was still hanging. At this moment, in his heart, the money he bet on was no longer important. His only hope was that the Shrek Seven Devils would not suffer any losses. These children were his dearest to him, just like his own children. Most importantly, this was his only chance to turn the tables. At this moment, the host who had already flown into the air shouted, "Team Fighting Spirit, the Shrek Seven Devils team, challenge the Fierce God team." And the fighting spirit begins. Almost at the same time as the last word came out of the host's mouth, one person from each side shouted. The one who spoke on the side of the Fierce God team was naturally the captain, the violent giant bear spirit master Men Li, who shouted, "Tear them apart." The one who shouted on the side of the Shrek Seven Devils was Dai Mabai, and his words were much more concise. With only one word, "Release." The black box that had been raised long ago did not reflect under the bright lights of the Great Fighting Spirit Arena. The moment the Fierce God team rushed out, all the members had already activated their first spirit skills and pounced on them like wolves and tigers. The thunderous momentum was like 1,000 horses galloping. At this moment, all the members of the Fierce God team heard a strange sound, like the clang of metal colliding, accompanied by a buzzing sound, as if a hornet's nest had been poked. Buzz! 7 huge divine crossbows roared at the same time, and each huge divine crossbow had been equipped with a mechanical device before this battle. A total of 112 crossbow arrows pierced the air, and a large number of black shadows danced like a swarm of bees. The members of the Fierce God team were all soul masters above level 40, so they could naturally see the black shadows that were rushing over. But how could they have thought that it was not a soul skill at all? What is the Mad Dog fighting method? It is to attack at the risk of life no matter how strong the enemy's attack is. Today's Fierce God team is still the same. They did not pause because of the opponent's attack. Instead, they rushed up at a faster speed, raised their arms, and protected their heads and chests. They rushed up abruptly. Close combat has always been what they are best at. Puff 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 puff. Accompanied by a series of strange sounds. The audience who were shouting wildly seemed to have their throats cut at the same time, and the whole audience was silent at that moment. Under the support of the terrible silence, a large puff of blood mist bloomed on the main fighting spirit stage like fireworks. The members of the Fierce God team even rushed forward several meters in succession under the influence of the forward momentum. The swiftness of that moment even made them unable to react in time. Why did it suddenly become cold? Meng Li felt a little strange, as if his body was a little out of control. This was the last stop of his consciousness in this world. Ding 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 ding. Dense explosions appeared behind the Fierce God team, and on the wall of the main fighting spirit stage, the black crossbow arrows were densely nailed to the wall. The steps of the Fierce God team members finally stopped, and the fireworks condensed from the blood mist bloomed from them. Not only the audience was stunned, but even Daimabai and others were already sluggish, although they already knew about Zhu Shenyu. But when this moment really came, they were already stunned. The only ones who thought of the scene in front of them were Yun Feng and Tang San, but at this moment, Tang San's eyes couldn't help but twitch slightly. Even Tang San's huge divine crossbow was so powerful. So how abnormal must Yun Feng's pistol and sniper rifle be? Meng Li's eyes, which were originally flashing with fierce light, stared at the front, and the fierceness in his eyes had turned into astonishment and despair. His tall and strong body smashed to the ground like a golden mountain beam pushed down by a jade pillar. Chapter 198, Instant Kill. Almost at the same time, the 7 members of the Fierce God team were brought to the ground by the inertia of their own forward rush. Blood gushed out from their bodies that were beaten like sieves by Zhuge's divine crossbow. The blood flowed like red earthworms, quickly spreading on the fighting arena. In the blink of an eye, it had dyed a large area in the center of the main fighting arena red. It was an absolute instant kill. The Fierce God team, which was as strong as level 40, did not even have a chance to attack. At this moment, the brains of all the audience were almost blank. No one knew what happened, and few people even saw how the Shrek 7 devils attacked. Such a short group fighting spirit is unique in the history of the entire fighting spirit arena. But although this fighting spirit was short, the shock left to the audience was no less than any wonderful fighting spirit. In the VIP room, Flanders' eyes widened in shock. Yao Gang pretended to be cool and slowly closed his eyes. He said lightly, "Let's go, now they need us the most." After saying this, he walked out first. Obviously, everything that happened in front of him had already been calculated by him. Ning Rong was the first one to wake up among the Shrek 7 devils except Tang San. She turned around and ran to the entrance of the fighting arena without stopping. One hand was still covering her mouth. Oscar was the second to run out, followed by Ma Hongjun. At this time, Daimabai and Tang San also looked at Zhao Wu and Zhu Zuqing. Obviously, they didn't expect that Zhao Wu and Zhu Zuqing were not affected at all. Looking at the host who was floating in the air but had already been dazed, Daimabai tried to lower his voice. "Can we announce the result of this fighting spirit?" The host woke up as if from a dream. He found that his lower body had been wet without knowing when, and he had even peed his pants. The originally clear voice became hoarse. Team Fighting Spirit, Shrek 7 Devils, yes. Fierce God Team. Fierce God Team was wiped out. Shrek 7 Devils Team successfully challenged the opponent. After getting a satisfactory answer, everyone walked towards the entrance of the Fighting Spirit Arena. The audience woke up in the announcement of the host, and for a while, the entire main Fighting Spirit Arena was completely boiling. Various doubts, sighs, and horrors came one after another, but these have nothing to do with the Shrek 7 Devils. For them, this fighting spirit is over. When several people came to the backstage, They found that the other three were vomiting non-stop. Only Tang San was still expressionless. Despite this, Tang San also saw that Daimobai's face was pale and his spirit was obviously not right. After all, Tang San was a killer in his previous life, and he was a human for 2 lives. So apart from him, Daimobai, the oldest among the crowd, was only 15 years old. Although Daimobai was strong and tough, he was also an ordinary person after all, and this was his first time killing someone. As for Zhu Zuqing, when fleeing from Xingliuo Empire to Tandu Empire, he had killed countless people. As a soul beast, Dao Wu killed people. These are nothing. The soul beast world emphasizes the survival of the fittest. Of course, killing 7 opponents in an instant, the scene of blood spurting, the enemy's bulging eyes, and the twisted expression at the moment of death are all deeply imprinted in the hearts of every one of the Shrek 7 devils. That feeling is irreplaceable by anything else. After a while, Ma Hongjun struggled to stand up and said directly to Daimobai, "Boss Dai, we killed people, right?" Daimobai nodded, not wanting to respond at this time. Tang San stood aside and said expressionlessly, "Yes, we killed people. The teacher said that they were all cruel people and it was not a pity to die, so you should not have too much psychological burden." Ning Rongarong raised her head with the pale face and said reluctantly, "But they were 7 living lives after all. The moment before, they were full of ferocity, but the next moment, they had become corpses." Wow, we killed people, really killed people. Oscar patted his chest and said while panting, "As a spirit master, killing is a problem you will face sooner or later, and everything in front of you is also a hardship you must go through. Since you have to face it sooner or later, it is better to face it earlier than vomiting on the battlefield. That may appear, otherwise, you can only become a corpse like the 7 people before." Yun Feng also walked slowly from the shadows at this time. His face was very calm, and a faint voice came out of his mouth, which sounded a little discordant to the ears of the Shrek people. "Any successful and powerful spirit master has walked on the blood of enemies and opponents. Have you never killed anyone? If not, where do your spirit rings come from?" Spirit beasts are also lives. In terms of life, they are no different from humans. Why don't you have this feeling when hunting spirit beasts? No one can help you overcome the difficulties in front of you. Everything depends on your own willpower. If you feel nauseous, just vomit. Once you get used to vomiting, it will be fine. After Yun Feng finished speaking, Yu Gang also added, "If you don't want to be the focus of attention, then put away the masks and your hands and leave here with us first." When the Shrek people returned to the hotel, they all felt very tired, even more tired than when they were in the devil training. This was not physical, but from the mental torture. Although the minds of the Shrek people were still calm, Meng Li's eyes before his death still remained in their minds for a long time. Tang San was actually a little uncomfortable. This was the first time he killed someone in this world. Just like Ning Rongarong said, even if you know that your opponent has a way to kill you, after all, you were once a living being. Yu Gang, Flanders and other teachers gathered in the room. At this time, Flanders was very excited. At the end of the day, the bet of 10-1 made everyone a lot of money. He had already received the money. At that time, including the Great Soul Fighting Arena, at least 6 or 7 forces invited the Shrek 7 devils, but he rejected them all. For other soul masters who participated in the soul fighting, the death of the Fierce God team would only be a great relief. Many people even believed that this was a trap specifically targeting the Fierce God team, and that some teams that had died in their hands had united to use this special method to take revenge. Although the power of Xuji's divine crossbow is great, its shortcomings are also very obvious. Anyone with a discerning eye can see it. Just as Yun Feng said, Xuji's divine crossbow can penetrate any defense below the 2nd soul skill, but it has no way to deal with soul skills above the 3rd soul skill, which are mainly defensive. Chapter 199. If the bad guys don't die, more people will die. Moreover, this huge divine crossbow is only powerful within a certain range. If it is over 50 meters, its attack power will be greatly weakened. This is far from being comparable to a bow and arrow. The biggest advantage of this huge divine crossbow is its suddenness. Once this advantage is gone, it is just a relatively powerful weapon. Master, Have you already thought about killing the fierce god team? Otherwise, you would not have chosen this notorious opponent. Xiao Zin asked the master while he and Flanders finished dividing the spoils. Yu Gang nodded. Yes, this is another test for them, or training. Let me ask you, who among you has not killed someone? I am almost certain that soul masters over level 50 will have killed several people. As I said before, since they will have to go through it sooner or later, it will only be a good thing for them to go through this test when we are around. At least they will have some psychological preparation for the same thing again. Dao Wuji sighed at this time. But, they are still young after all. Will it be too much of a stimulus for them? Yu Gang smiled indifferently. These kids are smart and won't get stuck in a rut. Flanders, if you've counted the money, you can go and comfort them. I've done the bad guys, so I'll let you be the good guy. Flanders chuckled and said, I'm a positive person in the hearts of the little monsters, so I'm naturally the best person to be the good guy. Wuji, don't worry, I agree with Dao Gang's approach. When I killed someone for the first time, I vomited all over the place. It's a little funny to think about it now. This is something everyone has to experience in life. It's okay to let them experience it earlier. I'll go and talk to them. For Shrek and his people, this was a sleepless night. The next morning, before dawn, the group had quietly left Silv City and continued to head towards their destination, the Tandu Empire. The faces of the Shrek 7 devils were still a little pale, especially Ning Rong, who vomited the most. One night was obviously not enough for them to fully recover, but after Flanders and Yun Feng's guidance, they reluctantly accepted the fact. Flanders' main idea when he was counseling was very simple. Killing a bad guy is equivalent to saving countless good people. If the bad guy doesn't die, more people will die. So, you are not killing people, but saving people. Yun Feng's is much simpler. Do you also want to become disabled, or do you need my help all the time? After such an idea was injected, it really made the Shrek 7 devils easier to accept, and they felt less uncomfortable. But it is not easy to really adapt to the feeling of killing, and it requires countless experiences to hone, in order to sympathize with the children. And Flanders was in a good mood after making a lot of money. He kept moving at a normal speed for the next few days. The Shrek people gradually broke free from the fear after killing. Those who can pass this kind of assessment of Shrek Academy are monsters. They are completely looking for geniuses. So as long as you figure it out, you won't feel so uncomfortable. Dao Gang, according to the map, we are about to reach Tandu City. Where is the Tandu Royal Academy in the city? Flanders asked the master while looking at the map. There is no sign of Tandu Royal Academy on the map. Yu Gang glanced at Flanders. You don't know. How can I know? You are barely a dean, Flanders said unhappily. What do you mean by barely? I am. Okay, so you don't know either. Wuji, Xiao Zin, do you know each other? Dao Wuji smiled bitterly. You also know that we are not soul masters from regular academies, let alone from aristocratic places like the Royal Academy. How can we know? I have only been to Tandu City once or twice. I don't remember the address of Tandu Royal Academy. They are all similar. The other three teachers nodded in unison, indicating that they were powerless. After hearing their conversation, everyone in Shrek didn't know what to say. That's it? You are so ashamed to call yourself the Golden Iron Triangle famous on the mainland, and isn't Yu Gang invincible in theory? Why can't you even figure out the geographical location? And the other soul masters are either soul saints or soul emperors. Seeing that everyone was still unable to come to a conclusion, Ning Rong stood up and said, Flender, I know where the Tandu Royal Academy is. My family's castle is not far from Tandu City. I used to go to Tandu City with my clansmen and have been to the Tandu Royal Academy. Although the direct clansmen are practicing and studying in the sect, some of the side branches are still in the Royal Academy. In fact, the Tandu Royal Academy is not in Tandu City, but outside the city, just like Shrek Academy is outside Soto City. After hearing this, Flender smiled with some pride. It seems that the first dean of the Tandu Royal Academy has the same idea as me. Facts have proved that I still have a good eye. After hearing this, Yu Gang poured cold water on him and said, I don't think so. You didn't put the academy in the city because you were short of money. The Tandu Royal Academy put the academy outside the capital because they were afraid that the luxury of the capital would affect the students' practice. More importantly, it's probably because Tandu City doesn't provide a large enough place to build the academy. As far as I know, although the number of students in Tandu Royal Academy is not large, all kinds of complete facilities require a large area to ensure. Daowuji heard that Flanders was being criticized, and he didn't think too much, and just laughed. Master, why do you always tell the truth? Let Flanders be careful. Come on, Daowuji, you have been very jumpy recently. Come, let's spar and let the children see what the battle between Soul Saint and Soul Emperor is like. As he spoke, Flanders made a gesture to fight. Daowuji didn't even look at him, and stretched out his arms to hug Lu Kaiban and Liu Song beside him. Flanders, you want to abuse me? Dream on, I won't fight with you. If you want to retaliate against me, just do it. I will definitely not fight back. Let the children see how you bully the weak and be a role model. You, Flanders glared at Daowuji fiercely. I find that since Zhaogang came, you have become much more cunning. After hearing this, Daowuji was instantly dissatisfied. He directly retorted, I learned this from you guys. Stop, don't involve me in your affairs. What does this have to do with me? Chapter 200. How did you trick them into coming in? Zhaogang stretched his body. Stop talking nonsense. Let's go quickly. Since Ning Rong knows the place, we can definitely get to the Royal Academy today. Settling down will also allow the children to start practicing earlier. Flanders said helplessly, you are really a practice maniac. With you here, I become the representative of gentleness. After eating some dry food, everyone didn't say anything, but set off again. When night fell, under the leadership of Ning Rong, they finally arrived at the destination of this trip. Tandu Royal Academy. Rong, are you sure it's here? Flanders asked in a strange voice. Ning Rong nodded and said, yes, that's right. Tandu Royal Academy will not change its location. I am sure it is here. But this is a mountain. This mountain belongs to Tandu Royal Academy. Oh, and the forest behind and the lake at the foot of the mountain on the left are all under the management of the academy. We are about to enter the academy. Looking at the stunned Flanders, Yun Feng said leisurely, it is a good place to be surrounded by mountains and water. The other teachers also nodded in admiration. The scenery here is really beautiful, especially at this time when the sun is setting and the sky is full of sunset clouds, against the background of the red clouds in the west. Whether it is the lake at the foot of the mountain or the mountain covered with various plants and up to 1,000 meters high, it gives people a feeling of paradise. It is less than 20 kilometers away from Tandu City, the capital of the Tandu Empire, and the environment is so beautiful. When they thought that this would become the place where they would live in the future, several teachers, including Daowuji, were very satisfied. Only Flanders said unconvincedly, what's so great about a good environment and a large place? Have they trained strong people? They are far inferior to our Shrek Academy. Although our place is small, there are many monsters. Zhaogang nodded in agreement. Flanders, to be honest, I still don't quite understand why so many children with outstanding potential would be deceived and enter your Shrek Academy. What method did you use to trick them in? I used bullshit. What is cheating? I call it personality charm. Flanders quickly changed his words and glared at Zhaogang. Go up the mountain, just in time for dinner. See how the food here is. If the treatment is not good, I won't stay. Seeing such an obvious change of subject, everyone in Shrek didn't know what to say. At this time, Flanders looked like a sulky child, and even the teacher beside him couldn't help but laugh secretly. At the same time, they could understand Flanders' feelings. After all, his brainchild Shrek Academy had ended. In his eyes, Tandu Royal Academy was more like a competitor. After walking a few steps, trouble came. Stop, who are you? 10 soul masters around 18 or 19 years old blocked the way of the group. Although they did not summon their own martial spirits, it can be seen from their light yellow school uniforms that these students belonged to Tandu Royal Academy. Flanders said boldly, we are from Shrek Academy. We are invited by your Tandu Royal Academy to come here for exchanges. Lead the way. After hearing Flanders' words, everyone realized that something was wrong. Sure enough, after hearing this, The young man who led the other side was obviously unhappy. He looked Flanders up and down, and then looked at the clothes of the others, with a trace of disdain on his face. "You country bumpkins, you still come to our academy for exchanges? I think you must be beggars from somewhere. Get out quickly, otherwise, we will have to use force." After traveling for nearly 10 days, except for young Feng and a few girls, the others from Shrek Academy were indeed a little dusty, but not as bad as he said. Although the leading student of the Tandu Royal Academy judged people by appearance, he said these words because he saw that everyone in Shrek Academy was dressed simply, and Flanders' somewhat arrogant words made him unhappy. Few people who can enter the Tandu Royal Academy have real abilities, and most of them get in by relying on connections and noble titles. This has always been the biggest problem of the Tandu Royal Academy. Otherwise, how could they have the name of the first academy in the Tandu Empire without the strength of the first academy? Not to mention that the teachers of Shrek Academy are all arrogant, otherwise they would not give up the opportunity to join the Soul Master family or various forces to establish Shrek Academy. At this time, Tang San and others were already furious under the other party's impolite words. Daima Bai just flashed and blocked Flender. A cold breath burst out instantly. From childhood to adulthood, no one has ever insulted him like this, and using such a contemptuous tone, he has never been a good-tempered person. What's more, the one being insulted is his own teacher. If the evil-eyed white tiger could endure, then he would not be a tiger, but a sick cat. Bang! Daima Bai kicked the young man who was talking and sent him flying. Then, he activated his martial spirit. The sudden change made the noble children of Tandu Royal Academy panic. They never thought that the other party would dare to attack at the gate of their academy, except for a few students who had a little bit of brains and quickly activated their martial spirits. Most people actually retreated quickly, fearing that they would be affected. Even those students who activated their martial spirits, when they saw the 3 flashing spirit rings on Daima Bai's body, they dared not step forward to attack and quickly retreated. In their brains, there is no concept of the weak defeating the strong. The spirit ring is an absolute gap, and among their group of people, there is not even one person who can reach level 30. Daima Bai has rich combat experience. Adhering to the principle of fighting first and talking later, he did not even give the other Shrek people a chance to attack. The tiger palm unfolded with his body, and the few people who retreated a little slower were beaten and flew away. Seeing Daima Bai taking action, Flanders and others could not help but frown. They were naturally not dissatisfied with Daima Bai beating the other party. It was because the quality of the students of Tandu Royal Academy in front of them was too poor. Flanders had said long ago that it doesn't matter if you are arrogant, but you must have the capital to be arrogant. Otherwise you have a problem with your brain. And these young men who look like decent people in front of them are completely vulnerable. You know, although their soul power is far behind Daima Bai, they have an absolute advantage in numbers. If they can unite to attack Daima Bai, they should at least be able to resist. But the situation in front of them is completely a mess. There are not even a few people who can fight back. They look like deserters on the battlefield with their armor and armors thrown away. Some of them are even crying for their parents. They don't look like soul masters at all. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.